I'm the most popular guy in the school. I can have any girl I want. Everyone thinks I am the most handsome and intelligent, but I don't have the time. I have a secret job. One day, a girl I didn't even know kicked the ball and her shoe hit me. I went to return it out of courtesy, but I noticed a strange smell from the shoe, so I went closer. I smelled her neck. She got scared, but it didn't matter. I had to make sure. This girl is cursed and will die soon. I couldn't tell her I pair. As I left, the girls went crazy and surrounded Linara. She became popular instantly. I fight against demons to save the lives of people who don't even know what's going on. I wonder, how did I end up like this? I'm not afraid, not even of the most powerful demons. But I wasn't prepared for someone to barge into my room and attack me. Isn't it usually men who do such things? Our story begins a little earlier. 5,000 years ago, a bear and a tiger asked the son of a god to turn them into humans. Huanung said that their wish would be granted if they ate sacred garlic and mugwort and stayed inside a cave for 100 days without any light. The tiger couldn't even last 7 days and ran away. The bear, however, persevered, believed in the promise, and in the end became a woman. From the union of the bear woman and the god Huanung, Dayun was born, the legendary founder of Korea. But there is a part of this story that has not been told. When the bear and the tiger entered the cave, other animals heard about it and also sought the promise. An ambitious wild boar wanted to become human so he could drink endlessly, but he ran away on the second day. A vain fox gave up after 3 days. Many beasts could not even last a week. Those who failed to become human developed a deep resentment and began to live in the shadows, hunting people to steal their humanity. A seven-tailed fox took his hatred to the extreme and invaded the house of a hunter. The old huntress, grandmother of the protagonist, saw that the fox in disguise was holding her newborn granddaughter hostage. The fox wanted revenge for the death of his wife. The old woman was not intimidated and warned if even a scratch appeared on her granddaughter, she would kill him. She took up her bow and arrow. It was time to face the beast that had taken so many lives. The evil spirit mocked her, using the baby as a shield and daring the old woman to shoot. The huntress, with 60 years of experience, was confident. She shot the arrow which passed through her granddaughter and struck the fox in the chest. The old woman said that pretending to be a human did not make him one, and that for feeding on livers, his fate would be to wander as dust for his sins. In his final moments, the fox refused to accept blame and began to suck the baby's energy. He shouted that the huntress had killed a cub, as his wife was pregnant and she would feel the same pain. With his last breath, the spirit caused our entire bloodline. When that girl turned 17, she would die. In shock, the huntress hugged the granddaughter and saw a mark of 3 dots on her neck, the seal of the curse. 16 years pass and we are in Seoul. The baby from back then, Lee Nara, wakes up in a flat. Today is her 17th birthday. Running late for school, she rushes out, but her mother and uncle surprise her with a small party. With no time to celebrate, she opens her presents. Her uncle, a fitness enthusiast, gives her a 10-kilo dumbbell. Her mother, who's more superstitious, gives her a voodoo necklace that wards off the curse. For Nara, it all feels a bit too much. Her uncle is worried, fearing that the curse might come true. Her mother, on the other hand, thinks it's all nonsense from her grandmother. Nara doesn't believe in curses, she considers them a thing of the past. For her, the only truly scary curse would be making a mistake in an important exam. Little does she know that, according to the prophecy, this would be her last day. At school, everything is normal. The spring day is pleasant, and chatting with friends is fun. During a football match, Nara kicks the ball so hard that her shoe flies off and hits a young man on the head. He turns around to return it, and everyone is stunned by his good looks. He's Nam Kyo-woo, a first-year student, but he doesn't care. His eyes fixate on the 3 marks on Nara's neck. Suddenly, he comes closer, smells her neck, and says that the scent seems familiar to him, leaving the girl stunned. When Nam Kyun-woo leaves, the other girls, captivated, follow him. They comment on how lucky Nara is to have spoken with him and ask what they talked about. Alone, Nara tries to figure out what scent Kyun-woo had smelled on her. Absent-mindedly, she puts her hand on a tree and to her surprise, a purple sticky mark appears. At that moment, an invisible countdown shows that she has only 4 hours left. Where she touched, a strange evil spirit forms in the tree. Later, in the classroom, Nara watches Kyun-woo. He's talented, handsome, and has an aura that draws everyone's attention. Even the seniors come just to see him. She finds him impressive, taking notes in class and undoubtedly the most popular. But seeing him up close, she realizes that he is different. In his notebook, instead of serious notes, he writes silly questions and statements like that he likes sausages. Nara concludes that he is quite strange and soon discovers another oddity. He often talks to himself, like when he debates what to have for lunch. The class ends. Kyunwoo comes over and says that he has figured out the scent he smells on her. Annoyed, Nara asks why he keeps insisting. He reveals that the scent is the same as that of a fox and that the mark on her neck is the fox's curse. Suddenly, time skips and Nara's countdown reaches 5 seconds. As the seconds tick by, she remembers her mother saying that curses are nonsense. Shocked, she drops the garbage bag, declaring that curses do not exist. When the countdown reaches 3, Kyunwoo grabs her hand and asks if she doesn't know what that mark means. Before she can answer, the wall explodes. The countdown reaches 2 and a truck is heading straight towards her. On the driver's face, an evil spirit is visible. The countdown reaches 1. Just as she's about to be hit, Kyunwoo pushes her out of the way and saves her life. The truck crashes into the wall and Nara falls to the ground, stunned, wondering what just happened. Shortly after, she faints and has an out-of-body experience. She sees herself lying on the ground, wondering whether she's alive or dead. While Nara's spirit floats, Kyunwoo tries to wake up her physical body by slapping her several times and shouting at her to open her eyes, but nothing works. At that moment, the evil spirit of the driver manifests itself. It approaches Nara's soul and reveals that it has waited 17 years for this opportunity. Now that the descendant of the hunter has turned 17, the fox spirit can take her soul. The evil spirit wraps itself around Lee Nara's soul, who cries out for help as she is dragged away. Suddenly, a blow from Nam Kyung-woo destroys the slimy form of the spirit. Nara does not understand how he did it, but she feels the boy grabbing a spiritual body. He says he can see her, spins around and tells her not to move. With a big leap, he turns her upside down and pushes her back into her physical body. From inside the cupboard, she hears a deep voice saying that there is no one in the room. To her surprise, it's not a person who enters, but a giant tiger with a knife in its mouth. The spirit swore it felt a presence, but when it looks around, it sees nothing. The green-eyed tiger looks at Nara, but seems to see right through her, finding the situation odd. The girl, confused, thinks she's still dreaming. Just then, Nam Kyung-go opens the cupboard, startling Nara, who runs out thinking it is the tiger. When she sees him, she calms down and asks if he also saw the talking animal. He says that's impossible, but she insists. Then he points to a tiger cub and says dryly that it is just a kitten. Just then, Kyung-woo's mother, Nam Horang, appears and asks if Nara is his girlfriend. Surprised that he brought a girl, he corrects her. She is just a classmate. Nara realizes that the voice was his mother's, not a talking tiger, and is stunned by her beauty. Horang notices the curse mark on Nara's neck. After introducing herself, Kyung-woo tries to send her home, but his mother stops him, insisting that she stay for dinner. Then his brothers show up. Nam Gi-hun, who's 27, and Nam Han-do, who's 18. Nara recognizes Han-do as a popular student from her school, an aspiring actor, and realizes that she had never noticed how handsome he was up close. Lee Nara keeps watching Nam Han-do, thinking that with his looks, he could easily be a celebrity. A moment later, his mother, Nam Horang, calls everyone to the table. Dinner is served. As soon as they sit down, Lee Nara feels that the atmosphere is quite strange. Kyung-woo's mother keeps staring at her, while Nam Hendo, the middle brother, refuses to eat and just glares at the table angrily. To make matters worse, Kyung-woo is silent, and even the family cat is eating with them. Feeling uncomfortable, all she wants is to go home. The only normal one is the eldest brother, Nam Jihan, who kindly tells Lee Nara to make herself comfortable and offers her some food. Suddenly, Nara notices a small white feather on Jihan's shoulder and gets up to remove it. As she reaches out her hand, everyone looks at her strangely and Kyung-woo shouts at her to stop, but it's too late. When she touches the feather, a huge white wing sprouts from Jihan's back. He shouts in surprise and starts floating. Lee Nara is shocked and asks if he's an angel, but her expectation is shattered when in the next instant, Gi-hun transforms into a chicken. Kyung-woo, irritated, says that dinner was a disaster. He doesn't want to know what happened, but rather how she undid his brother's transformation. Her mother reveals the reason. Lee Nara is the descendant of a huntress. The news surprises all the siblings. Taking advantage of the moment, the cat asks if she can stop pretending, and right before Nara's eyes, transforms into a little girl. The mother quickly scolds her, pointing out that her tiger tail is still visible. This sparks an argument about the garlic, and Nam Hyendo finally loses his temper. He complains that he's tired of eating garlic in every meal, from pancakes to cakes, and that the taste is horrible. A real act of terrorism against his taste buds. His mother gets furious at his complaint and orders him to eat in silence. A sinister aura surrounds her, and suddenly she spits on her son's forehead. Hundo, who's very particular about cleanliness, panics in disgust and in his desperation transforms into a giant pig. But in his pig form, his attitude changes completely. He starts devouring all the food on the table, saying everything is delicious, and cleans every plate within seconds. Lee Nara can hardly believe that the cool and popular boy, whom everyone at school envies, is actually a pig. The situation descends into family chaos. Hando argues with his mother for spitting at him. Gi-hun complains that they shouldn't have invited a stranger for dinner, and the girl quarrels with Kyung-woo for forcing her to act like a cat. Losing her patience with the argument, the mother shouts at everyone to keep quiet and, in a fit of rage, transforms into a huge tiger, destroying what is left of the table. At that moment, Lee Nara finally realizes that the tiger she saw earlier in the room was real. Instinctively, she takes out her phone and snaps a photo of the scene, causing the whole family in their animal forms to shout at her to delete the picture immediately. Frightened, Nara asks if the tiger is going to eat her. The mother, now calmer, says that it is all a big misunderstanding and begins to tell the legend of Dongwon. She explains that in the original story, a bear and a tiger entered a cave to become human, but only the bear succeeded. What the legend doesn't mention, she says, is that other animals were also there. Her family descends from those very beasts that could not become human. Kyung-woo gets nervous, questioning why his mother is telling their family secret to a classmate. Ignoring the argument, Lee Nara turns to Kyung-woo and asks him the most important question of all, whether he too is not human. Upon hearing the question, a mischievous smile spreads across Kyung-woo's face while the rest of the family looks on in shock. The chicken says that the situation is embarrassing, and the pig claims that it's obvious they're human. Since animals can't talk, Kyung-woo finally replies saying that he's human, but his mother interrupts with a sinister tone. She says that it's all a matter of perspective, whether they are beasts or if Nara is a hunter. For her, their encounter could be seen as a great burden. And then she puts a hand on Nara's shoulder, ending the conversation with a threatening air. The mother goes on to say that if their meeting is seen as one between two humans, then it could be considered fate. She asks the girl which of the two options she thinks it will be. At that moment, the mother undoes her transformation and points to the mark of the fox's curse on the girl's body, showing her a piece of paper with a red design. She explains that the girl cheated death and survived the curse. And that's why her tomorrow will be very different from her today. The mother hands her the paper, instructing her to stick it on her door whenever necessary, as that pattern would connect them. Then she says that it's getting late and that she should head home. The girl takes the amulet and leaves the family's house, wondering how a simple piece of paper could connect two people. Suddenly, feeling a strange energy, she decides that she no longer wants to be involved in any of this. On impulse, she throws the protective amulet to the ground and runs off. Meanwhile, back at the house, Kyung-woo's elder brother asks if they should have let the girl go like that. The mother very calmly tells them not to worry, that the girl will come back. If she doesn't, she'll die at the hands of the fox. After running for quite a while, the girl stops, tired and relieved to have escaped. Without her noticing, the protective amulet she threw away mysteriously ends up inside her backpack. When she reaches home, her mother complains about her being late, but the girl goes straight to bed exhausted. The day had been a nightmare. She was hit by a truck, a fox nearly stole her soul, and she saw people turning into beasts. She just wished it was all a dream. The next day, her mother wakes her up shouting, "Aren't you going to school?" Realizing she's late, the girl rushes out without breakfast, her face barely washed and her shoes half on. It was supposed to be a normal morning, but at the bus stop, something catches her attention. On the shoulders of a man with his phone, there was a terrifying creature. She's left in shock, even more so when the creature turns around and asks her what she's looking at. The girl panics, thinking she's seeing a ghost in broad daylight. She realizes that she is the only one who can see it and tries to act normal, avoiding the spirit's eyes. But the creature insists, "Don't look at its man or it will rip your eyes out." That's when she remembers what Kyung-woo's mother had said. Her morning was going to be very different. Desperate, she starts running and sees that the city is full of spirits. Now she could see ghosts and that terrified her. Finally, after running, she reaches the school. Did the ghosts follow her? As she opens the classroom door, her heart freezes. The room was full of spirits sitting at the desks, and at the teacher's spot, all of them were looking at her and asking who she was. Her classmate calls her, "Lin Nara, have a seat." Frightened, Nara closes the door for a moment. The path and the door she opened every day now seemed like something from another world. The life of a 17-year-old girl was ruined. She sits down for mathematics, but the spirits surround her, mocking her for not being able to solve the problems. They said she would never get into university and whispered to her. The spirit of a laborer kept repeating that he had built that school before he died. Others pressured her by talking about the accident and her struggles with her studies. The ghosts multiplied and grew suspicious, asking why she was trembling. They realized that she might be able to see them. Nara tried to pretend she couldn't see anything, but tears were already rolling down her face. Then Kyungwoo stands up and walks towards the desk. He stops in front of her desk and looks at her. The spirits fall silent. With a gesture, he uses magic to drive away the evil, expels the spirits and shuts the door. After class, Nara grabs him by the arm to talk. The talk. Frightened, she points to a spirit under a tree. Kyungwoo explains that it's the ghost of the canteen lady who always bothers him to eat. He drives away the spirit by saying that he'll eat healthy. Then he introduces Mr. Kim, the worker who died during construction, and keeps repeating it. And Mr. Park, the guardian spirit of the place, because he loved to see the students reading. Kyungwoo explains that there is another world beyond what we see, and that ghosts are like people, some are good and others are bad. He reminds her that there are truly evil ghosts, like the fox that tried to steal her soul. Then he asks her if she still has the talisman her mother gave her, commenting that he was surprised her mother would give away something so valuable. Nara gets scared when she remembers that she threw away that piece of paper, which was actually a very important talisman. The girl lies, saying that the talisman is safe at her house. Nam Kyung-woo warns her that if she wants to stay alive, she must stick the object on her door. Afraid to tell her mother that she threw away the gift, she returns home. The pleasant smell of dinner welcomes her and she decides to take a shower before eating. But while she's washing her face, a sinister voice echoes in the bathroom, commenting on how delicious she smells. It was an evil spirit. She tells the ghost to get lost, irritated by the interruption. Shortly after, her mother says she will quickly go out to buy tofu and asks her daughter to keep an eye on the stove. However, the girl still thinks it was her uncle in the bathroom. Furious, she goes to her room and complains, saying he should have knocked. Her uncle, who was on the computer, gets confused and quickly switches off the device, afraid that she might see something. Only then, while going up the stairs, does she realize her mistake. There, on the steps, a huge and terrifying creature was crawling. The girl instantly understands that it was that monster repeating her uncle's words. Terrified, she runs to her room and locks the door, remembering her friend's warning about the existence of evil ghosts. The spirit starts asking her to knock on the door, and the creature tries to get through the wall, attracted by her scent. The monster manages to get past the amulet her mother gave her, but the voodoo necklace she is wearing emits an energy that prevents it from fully entering the room. In a desperate act, she takes the weights her uncle gave her and arranges them in the shape of a cross, which makes the creature retreat for a moment. However, she ends up dropping the weights and the monster takes advantage to grab her by the neck, starting to pull her soul out of her body. She grabs her backpack and hits the creature with all her strength. To her surprise, one of the blows makes the monster fall back, repelled by a protective paper. She realizes that the talisman she had thrown away was inside her backpack the whole time. Remembering Nam's advice, she tries to run and stick the paper on her bedroom door, but she falls to the ground, paralyzed by fear. The ghost was so terrifying that she couldn't move. Panicking, she starts throwing pens at the monster, which obviously doesn't harm it at all and only makes it angrier. The creature screams, throws her against the wall, and once again starts pulling her soul out of her body. Just as she's about to be devoured, she realizes she's right next to the wardrobe door. With one last effort, she tells herself she won't be eaten by a ghost and sticks the talisman right there. At first, nothing happens and the creature keeps coming closer, but suddenly the paper starts shining brightly. The wardrobe door swings open and a hand emerges from inside, grabbing hold of the spirit. To her utter relief, Nam Yoon-woo comes out of the wardrobe, holds on to the monster, which stops moving, and the girl screams for help as she feels her soul leaving her body. A strong electric current surges through Yoon-woo's hand and strikes the creature, tearing off a piece of its body and forcing it to let go of the girl. The monster regenerates its hands, which grow back small and deformed, and tries to attack again. Gyeonwoo dodges easily and even in the middle of the fight still has time to ask her if she did her Korean homework. She shouts to warn him about an attack from behind, but he had already noticed it. He turns around and responds with a devastating electric punch that knocks the spirit down. Without giving the monster any time to react, he starts kicking it repeatedly. The creature gets up even angrier and opens a huge mouth to devour him. In response, Gyeonwoo energizes his hand once more and delivers a final blow, defeating the monster for good. The spirit screams as its body dissolves, and several small specters begin to fly out from inside it. Junwoo explains that those are the souls that were devoured by the monster known as Eonki. He explains that when an evil ghost eats a soul, it turns into a specter. Then he captures the essence of the Eonki in a glass jar and seals it with a talisman, making sure it will never return. Once the fight is over, he simply goes back to the cupboard and says he's leaving. The girl is confused and points towards the main door, but when she looks back, he's already gone. She opens the cupboard to look for him and suddenly finds herself inside her own room at her house. Junwoo explains that the talisman is called the Rabbit's Burrow and it connects one door to another. Just then, her mother enters the room and asks how the hunt went. The girl named Lee Nara finally breaks down and starts crying, saying that it was terrifying. Her mother then explains that the problem is Lee Nara herself. Her soul is like a delicious prey, that's why the specters are attracted to her. These monsters are driven by an insatiable hunger and devour everything in their path. Gyanwoo's mother explains that for the specters who live in the darkness, Lee Nara's soul is like prey they are allowed to devour. That is the true meaning of the mark on her neck. From that day onwards, all the specters who sense the curse will go after her, and as soon as the fox regains its strength, it'll hunt her as well. In shock, Lee Nara asks what she can do, but the mother's answer is brutal. She is going to die soon. The girl is devastated at the thought that she won't be able to go to university or even have a date in her life. She is paralyzed by the news that her end will come shortly after she turns 17. However, the mother reveals that there is hope. Gyunwoo will protect her. The boy doesn't seem at all happy with the idea, but he ends up accepting it. He asks his mother why he has to be Lee Nara's protector, and she replies that it's because of the rabbit hole talisman, which connects their two rooms. Seeing her son's dissatisfaction, the woman transforms into a tiger and asks him if he dislikes her odor. Lee Nara, on the other hand, is filled with hope. She remembers that Gyeonwoo has already driven away the fox once and now has captured an Yeonki. If he keeps protecting her, she'll be able to live. The girl starts thanking him profusely, but Gyeonwoo's mother interrupts her, saying that nothing in this world is free. Lee Nara asks, frightened, if the payment will be her soul. But the proposal is something else. In exchange for protection, they want the girl to bring them a relic of Dangun. The woman reveals that Nara's grandmother was a famous fox hunter and her power came from a thumb ring that once belonged to Dangun himself. That is the relic they want? Lee Nara is confused, explaining that her grandmother passed away a long time ago and she has never heard of any ring. Gyunwoo's mother, however, assures her that the ring recognizes its true owner and, being that kind of object, it will soon return to her hand. With no other option to survive, Lee Nara accepts the deal. Later, in her room, she looks at a family photo and wonders what kind of person her grandmother really was. Her mother always hated talking about her grandmother. She only used to say that she spent 6 months of the year away from home. Now Lee Nara finally understands why. She was probably hunting foxes. While she wonders where the relic could be, she decides to change for bed, but stops halfway through. She remembers the connection between her wardrobe and Gyunwoo's room, immediately feeling uncomfortable about the lack of privacy. The next day, while getting ready for school, Lee Nara is startled when Gyunwoo simply comes out of a wardrobe asking to see her Korean homework. He borrows the books and leaves, annoying the girl who shouts at him not to come into her room like that. Meanwhile, at Gyunwoo's house, his mother was watching the evil spirit they had trapped. Suddenly, a man named Pongbak enters through the window. The woman scolds him for not using the door and he replies that it sounds too human. He reminds her that for a beast, entering through the window is a sign of good manners. Pongbak warns her that time is running out. If she truly wants to become human, she must put in more effort to purify the world and capture more evil spirits. He says that before Dangun descends, they must accumulate enough good deeds or else they will spend the rest of their lives as beasts. Back in her room, Lena starts to hear a deafening guitar noise coming from the wardrobe. Annoyed, she opens the door and finds Gyungu playing the guitar on his bed, wearing only his underwear. She asks him to stop, saying it's very late and she's trying to sleep. The boy says that's rock and roll, but in the end he agrees to stop and lies down. Silently, she thanks him for his help earlier. Gangu hears everything but doesn't respond. Even though they were in different rooms, the connection between them made them feel close. From that day onwards, the two of them start going to school together. The scene doesn't go unnoticed by the other students, who immediately start gossiping, assuming that Lee Nara and Gengu are a couple. The girls become jealous, and all that negative attention attracts an evil spirit who watches the scene with great anger. Pressed by her classmates, Lee Nara repeatedly denies having any kind of relationship with him, fearing that the truth would attract even more danger. The enraged spirit approaches her and starts shouting that she is lying, repeating the word over and over, until it lets out a heart-wrenching scream that drains Lee Nara's energy. Gyungu notices that the spirit looks at him with hatred, but he doesn't understand what happened. The ghost heads towards the stairs, repeating to itself that Lee Nara is a wicked girl. Just then, a dark voice emerges from the shadows, asking if it can help. It is the fox spirit, who offers to help get rid of the girl. Without any hesitation, the fox spirit simply devours the girl's ghost. With that, the monster grows even bigger. A mixture of the two spirits oozing black sludge. The creature starts climbing the stairs, but it knows this still isn't enough. It needs to feed on more ghosts to grow. And soon, it spots its next target, the lunchbox ghost, who was on a nearby tree. The fox spirit slides along the school walls and finally reaches the lunchbox ghost. Without a second thought, the monster thanks it for the meal and devours the poor creature. Meanwhile, class ends and Lee Nara finds it odd how quiet the school is that day. The teacher dismisses the students and everyone starts heading home. As they leave, Jungu asks if she has seen any ghosts, suggesting that maybe they have gathered to watch something interesting. However, Lee Nara realizes that even the lunchbox ghost, who was always around, has disappeared. This information puts Gingu on high alert. He quickly takes a piece of chalk out of his pocket and draws a big white circle on the ground, placing the girl in the center. He explains that as long as she stays inside the circle, the evil spirits, the Yongwes, will not be able to see her. He tells her not to leave it for any reason, promising that he will go and check what is happening and come back soon. Nara asks if the situation is serious, but he does not reply and goes off to investigate. Gungu heads to a dark area of the school, climbing the stairs towards the bathroom. Once there, he feels a strong presence, even though it is hidden. Opening the door of one of the stalls, he finds all the ghosts of the school huddled together, shivering with fear. He asks what they are doing there, and the spirits beg him to keep quiet, whispering that a powerful Yongvi is roaming the corridors. However, before Gyeonggu can react, the fox spirit suddenly appears and devours all the ghosts in front of him, transforming into an even bigger and more terrifying creature. Shocked by the scene, Gungu faces the monster, which now directly asks where Lee Nara is. Meanwhile, the girl, still inside the circle, gets scared and sends messages to Gyungu, asking where he is and begging him to come back soon. Gyungu sees the messages but he cannot reply as he's standing in front of the fox. The monster says that it could feel Lee Nara's presence until just a moment ago, but suddenly she disappeared. Seeing his ghost friends being devoured like that fills Gyungu with immense rage, and a powerful energy emanates from him. The fox accuses him of interfering with her revenge and says she doesn't care about the other humans. She offers him a deal. If he tells her where the girl is, he will be allowed to live. Without any hesitation, Gingu responds with a powerful punch straight to the fox's face, sending her flying. As the fox gets up, the voice of Mr. Park, one of the spirits she swallowed, remarks that the punch really hurt. Distracted by the voice, Gyungu doesn't defend himself in time, and the fox attacks him with one of her 9 tails, throwing him against a bathroom cubicle. The monster boasts that she devoured the spirits too quickly and hasn't digested them yet. Furious, Gyungu charges again, unleashing brutal punches to the creature's stomach. The blows are so powerful that they make her vomit up Mr. Park's spirit, who thanks Gyungu and disappears. The fox, unfazed, comments that old ghosts don't taste very good. Gyungu realizes that she is not just any evil spirit, because after consuming so many souls, she hasn't gone completely mad. Now feeling restored, the fox gets ready to fight seriously. Gyungu declares that he will beat her until all the spirits are freed. He energizes his hands, but suddenly a spirit seems to emerge from the toilet. He dodges at the last second and realizes that it was just an illusion. The fox, he had turned one of his tails into a toilet to attack him. The monster warns him to watch where he steps. When he looks down, Kyungu sees the floor covered with sharp fangs and jumps just before being bitten. While in the air, he notices that even the ceiling lights are traps. He uses his feet to push off from the ceiling and return to the ground, dodging another cubicle that tries to bite him. Seeing that the 9 tails are creating the illusions, he decides to ignore them and charges forward, landing a powerful knee strike to the fox's mouth. He then follows up with a blow that smashes the monster against the ground. As Kyungu prepares for the final blow, one of the fox's tails grabs his arm, stopping the attack. When he looks at his arm, he sees that it has transformed, taking on a monstrous or beastly form, full of energy. The fox starts to mock him, questioning why a creature like him protects humans. She claims that no matter how hard he tries, when humans see his true nature, they will react with fear and disgust. The fox continues saying that the way he seeks human affection irritates her, but Kyungo simply replies that it's none of her business and that unlike her, he doesn't live by devouring humans. He transforms his arm back to normal, energizes his fist and threatens to give her a thrashing. The two of them charge at each other with hatred in their eyes. Kyungu gives the fox such a powerful punch on the nose that the sound echoes throughout the school, heard by Lee Nara in the courtyard. Worried by the noise, Nara considers stepping out of the chalk circle to see what happened, but hesitates. She keeps sending messages, unaware that Ji Hunu is in a fight for his life. Suddenly, a boy appears on a bicycle and clashes into the young woman. It is Ha Do-sun Bae who asks her what she is doing there. In the fall, the bicycle tire runs over the chalk, erasing part of the protective circle and leaving Lee Nara exposed. Suddenly, the mark on her neck glows, and at that very moment, the fox pinpoints her exact location. The evil spirit found its target and leaves the bathroom to go after her. Seeing this, Nam Kyung-woo becomes desperate, knowing that the fox is heading straight for the girl. Within seconds, the creature made of black mud appears in front of Lee Nara, opening its huge mouth and promising to devour her. Terrified, the young woman covers her face with her arms to protect herself. But when the fox tries to bite it, it cannot reach the student. Ha Do-sun Bae, the middle brother, creates a magical barrier that blocks the attack. The fox notices the magic circle on the floor, which prevents it from coming closer. Finding the monster's appearance disgusting, Do creates a light magic that pushes it away. He declares that the ugliness of the creature cannot interfere with his own beauty, activating an aura which he claims is untouchable. Lee Nara thinks that self-praise shouldn't be so effective. The fox, confused, asks what kind of hunter he is. At that moment, Ha Do-sun Bae notices that some drops of the monster's mud have splashed onto his hand. He feels disgusted by the dirt, but the worst happens afterwards. His hand starts to transform into that of a pig. Ashamed of his beastly side, he tries to hide it. Shortly after, Nam Kyung-woo comes running and asks his brother to protect Lee Nara. The fox warns that no matter how much they fight, the girl's life will be his. Ignoring the threat, Do lifts the young woman onto his bicycle and starts pedaling. Lee Nara asks if he is going to leave Kyung-woo behind. Do explains that if he fights against the spirit, he will completely turn into a pig, something that disgusts him and he wants to avoid at any cost. So he speeds up, fleeing from the place. The fox spirit does not give up and starts chasing them at great speed. The chase is so intense that Han-do blames the girl for all the mess. On a bend, she almost falls, but he grabs her by the tie. Suddenly, the fox comes out of a wall and tries to bite both of them, managing to wrap them up with its muddy body. At the last second, Nam Kyung-woo appears and gives the monster a powerful kick, pushing it away and saving them both. Now Ha-do is covered in mud and gets even more irritated when he realizes that he'll turn into a pig in front of everyone. Lee Nara even points out that he seems to be getting fatter. The fox also realizes that he is not an ordinary human as the transformation speeds up. The younger brother tries to help, but Han-do is already pedaling desperately while his body changes, crossing the street and almost running people over. He dodges a mother with a pram, sharply turns the bicycle and ends up falling off an overpass, flying for a moment before starting to fall. They go down a very steep and dangerous ramp, crashing straight into a pile of rubbish at the end. After the crash, the transformation is complete and Han-do, now a giant pig, continues pedaling furiously. Meanwhile, Nam Kyung-gu slides down the same ramp and joins them. He stops in front of the fox ready to fight and gives off a terrifying aura. The elder brother tells him not to get worked up. Then, Kyung-gu asks the pig how far he thinks he can run looking like that and tells him to fight by his side because the running away is over. The fox lunges to attack all three of them, but the pig uses his massive body to land a solid kick to the monster's mouth, knocking it down. Nam Kyung-gu seizes the opportunity, charges up his hand, and unleashes a massive punch of pure spiritual energy. The blow hits the fox squarely, shattering the evil spirit and leaving Lee Nara stunned by the strength of the two brothers. However, with its last breath, what remains of the fox wraps itself around Lee Nara's body and then disappears. The girl faints on the spot. The brothers run towards her, worried. The giant pig thinks she is dead, but Nam tells him to stop being dramatic, explaining that she only fainted because her soul escaped from her body. They wonder where her soul could have gone. Believing that the fox used transformation magic to hide it, Nam starts attacking nearby objects. He hits a tree and a pole, desperately searching for the girl's soul, even hurting his own hand in the process. Meanwhile, Lee Nara's spirit wanders through a vast, dark emptiness, feeling lifeless. The souls of the construction worker, Mr. Kim, and the woman from the school appear, telling her to run. But before she can react, a muddy tentacle from the fox grabs her by the foot and drags her into the darkness. Frightened, she sees a light and passes through a hole that takes her to an old memory. She sees a man saying that he couldn't keep his promise, as humans killed the woman he loved and his child. Nara realizes that she is witnessing the fox's past and the origin of its hatred. Shortly after, the vision shifts to a memory of her own family. She sees a grandmother who in the past ate fox livers, which led the spirit to curse her entire lineage. The grandmother protected her granddaughter, a baby, with her own life. At that moment, Nara finally understands everything. The fox's grudge turned into the curse she has carried around her neck since birth. In the background, she can still hear her mother shouting at her grandmother that she couldn't take the situation anymore. The memory shows Lee Nara's mother leaving home with her as a baby. Her grandmother begged her not to go, warning that if the curse wasn't lifted, the child would die. But her mother, fed up with that story, shouted that she would raise Lee Nara normally, far away from all that. This memory, however, does not belong to Lee Nara but to the fox. At that moment, the muddy tentacles of the evil spirit wrap around Lee Nara once again. The fox explains that it has been inside her for 17 years watching everything. It saw the girl grow up happy and loved and realized that its own child, had he lived, might have had the same fortune. Its resentment was not against Lee Nara, but because of the loss of its child who never had the chance to grow up. Suddenly, the scene changes. Lee Nara, now in spirit, finds herself in another memory, watching her grandmother in the past. Desperate, she shouts to get her attention. And then, the impossible happens. A grandmother, within that old memory, hears the voice of a granddaughter from the future. Lee Nara shouts that the fox swallowed her and asks for help. The grandmother, reacting in real time, reaches out and manages to grab her granddaughter's spiritual hand. She tells Lee Nara not to let herself be consumed by the darkness and encourages her to fight. At that moment, the young woman finds the ring, the relic of Dangwon. The meeting of both, one in the past and the other in the present, creates a crack in the spiritual space. Because of this, the spirits of the fox and Lee Nara are exposed. Even though she understands the monster's pain, Lee Nara asks why it takes it out on her and using the energy of the relic lands a blow that destroys the spirit. Immediately afterwards, her soul begins to be dragged into the void, but Nam Kyung-gu stops her, grabbing her hand and anchoring her spirit to her body. When Lee Nara wakes up, she sees that several spirits from the school are free. A final fragment of the fox spirit tries to escape, but the pig, Sunbae, captures it in a capsule with a talisman, sealing it forever. With the battle over, Jungwoo has to return Lee Nara's soul to her body. He warns that it will be difficult to do so without pain, and without any ceremony pushes her spirit back in. The pain is intense, but a powerful blue light emanates from the girl's body, surprising everyone. Suddenly, she opens her eyes, and in her hand is Dangwon's relic, her grandmother's ring. After all the chaos, the three of them are exhausted and hungry. They stop at a shop to eat. While they're eating, Nam asks about the ring. Lee Nara explains the unbelievable that her grandmother gave it to her from within a memory, transcending time and space. Her brother thinks she must have hit her head, since it's impossible for a memory to recognize you. Lee Nara says she doesn't know how it happened, but she doesn't mind, as she was happy to talk to her grandmother, even if it was just for a moment. Back at home, they give the imprisoned fox's soul to their mother, who is also captivated by the ring. She explains that it is a sacred relic that amplifies spiritual power 100 times, which awakens everyone's greed. The mother is the first to try it, but the ring rejects her, jumping off a finger. The elder brother demands his turn by right of primogeniture, puts it on, and for a moment, a brilliant light appears and angel wings sprout from his back. But the glory is short-lived, and he turns into a chicken falling onto the chair. The ring flies and lands once again in Lee Nara's hands. Nam Kyung-gu declares that the relic has chosen its master. The girl, not understanding the value of the object, puts it on a thumb. At that moment, a blinding light fills the room, the house shakes, and a strong wind blows. Suddenly, a red liquid with a smell of iron appears on the table, and the overwhelming power makes everyone lose control and transform into their beast forms. At that moment, a mysterious figure appears floating in the room. An old man covered in furs introduces himself as the ancestral deity of the hunters. He says he was waiting for the successor of the ring and that Lee Nara is the chosen one. With everyone paralyzed, the old man announces that he will tell her a truth she does not know. The ancestral deity reveals the truth. There are beasts that use human skin to sow chaos. Upon hearing this, the family behind him gets frightened. Sensing the danger, Lee Nara tries to draw the old man's attention so that they are not discovered. He knows that evil beings are attracted to this relic and that because Nara is so pure, she will face many trials. Before leaving, the old man states that the use of the relic belongs to her and gives one last piece of advice: never trust the beasts. With that, the ancestor deity disappears. As soon as he leaves, the residents of the house stop pretending and return to normal. Lee Nara is left confused, realizing that she is a hunter who will not hunt. Meanwhile, the family's pig, Pangbei, takes a bath and transforms into his human form. He admires himself in the mirror, noticing a red mark with a +1 on his back, which indicates a high-level spirit. Pangbei is surprised, as he has never seen such a strong spirit in the fox tribe, and he asks the matriarchs how she found it. She says that it's a trade secret. Back to her studies, Lee Nara tells Nam Kyung-gu that even her pencil is shining now. Jokingly, she says that she is a magical girl and will use the pencil to attack monsters. Annoyed, the boy tells her to get back to her homework. Afterwards, she uses a hair tie as a slingshot and launches the pencil. The object flies like an arrow, pierces through the wall with a swirl of energy, and disappears into the horizon. Shocked, she doesn't understand how she did it, and a friend encourages her to try again. With the hair tie and her thumb with the ring, she shoots the pencil once again. But this time, the improvised arrow hits her mother, who appeared suddenly. The house shakes as the woman transforms into a giant furious tigress, shouting that she will destroy them. After the commotion, the mother returns to her human form and notices that the pencil arrow has disappeared. She explains that the hunter's arrow chases evil energy and that Nara needs more training. This leaves the girl deep in thought. If the arrow chases evil, why did it hit her mother? She remembers the deity's warning not to trust the beasts and starts to suspect her family. Late at night, she decides to leave and returns to her room through the wardrobe. Tired, she postpones her task and falls asleep. In the middle of the night, Nara wakes up and goes to the kitchen for something sweet. When she closes the refrigerator door, she comes face to face with a malevolent being lurking there. Shocked, she pretends not to have seen anything and tries to run away, but then she hears groans of pain. The ghost has a pencil stuck in its chest and demands that she remove it. The next morning, Lee Nara is exhausted. She didn't sleep at all, as the ghosts tormented her even in her dreams. She realizes that the pencil caused everything and she must get it back so that the spirits leave her in peace. On her way, she realizes that the pencil she threw while playing unleashed a storm as it hit a nest of spirits. Her path leads her to an abandoned house she remembers from her childhood. Earlier, she was so scared of it that she always took a detour. She doesn't know why she came here, when even the adults avoid this area. Nara remembers that the former resident died of a mysterious illness and that, more recently, the place was a hideout for gangsters for their illegal activities. Inside the house, Minsu was teasing his friends, asking if they were scared and what people in jail would say about them for being cowards. During the conversation, one of them told the woman to stop smoking, saying the smell was sticking to their clothes. It turned out that no one had lit a cigarette. A thick, mysterious smoke filled the room, taking the shape of a terrifying spirit with sharp teeth. Upon noticing the ghost, the group of delinquents went into a complete panic. Coming back to our protagonist, Lee Nara, who's now outside the property, The entire area is cordoned off with police tape as the youngsters inside have disappeared. Curious and worried, she decides to take a quick look to see if everything is alright. Soon, she comes across a huge tree, much bigger than it seemed from a distance, and to her surprise, her pencil was stuck right in the middle of the trunk. She remembered that the pencil had flown a long way to get there. Nara recalled the matriarch's words, the hunter's arrow, her pencil, always chases after evil energy. The situation was sinister and she knew that the ghost from her dreams would torment her if she didn't remove the object from the tree. Frightened, she tried to call the spirit to come and take out the pencil, but it did not obey. Seeing that she had no other option and that there was no one around, she decided to go in and finish quickly. As soon as she entered, she stepped on soft earth and fell into a hole, landing in a dark place. After hitting her back against a car, she realized that she was in an underground garage. The darkness was absolute and she could not see anything, which made her worry about how she would get out. Since it was a garage, she knew there had to be an exit, but the place was huge and she could not find any. Exploring with the light from her phone, she started to notice strange things. Thick tree roots were growing out of the walls and spreading everywhere. She also found candles, a sign that someone had been there. Suddenly, a noise confirmed her worst fear. She was not alone. As she moved her phone, the light revealed the 3 missing criminals and others. They all looked like zombies with blank expressions and strange movements. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Nam and Lee Nara's mother were talking, confused. They could not understand why Lee's curse was not going away. Even after capturing the fox, the mother wondered where the vessel that sealed the fox could be. Back in the garage, Lee Nara found the answer. The tree was covered with talismans, and around it were containers with sealed spirits. One, right in the center, seemed to be the fox's vessel. With no time to understand, a spirit floated behind her and the zombies started to come closer. Nara shouted at them to stay away, but they did not stop. When they tried to attack her, she dodged and put away her phone, getting ready for the worst. At that moment, the spirit from her dream appeared, floating. He suggested that if she pulled the pencil out of the tree, he would help her to escape. He pointed out a log that was ready for her to climb. Without thinking, Lee Nara climbed as fast as she could. The zombies caught up with her, grabbing her leg and trying to pull her down. With strange expressions, they struggled to catch her, but she defended herself by giving a strong kick to the face of one who fell back stunned. Free, she continued her climb, wondering how such an absurd situation could happen because of a simple pencil. Finally, she saw a light and managed to get out from underground right at the base of the tree. Relieved to have survived with just a few scratches, she turned towards the pencil stuck in the trunk. Just as she was about to pull it out, one of the missing women emerged from the ground, grabbed her ankle and tried to drag her into the hole. Lee Nara clung to the trunk and noticed that the blonde woman was crying. She freed herself and, without understanding why, finally pulled out the pencil. As soon as the object came out, a black slime oozed from the tree. The pencil had pierced a small evil spirit, like an insect that dissolved into the air. For a moment, the danger seemed to be over, but just as she relaxed, a giant foot emerged from the tree. A huge creature emerged, shouting that it was finally free thanks to her after being trapped for 70 years. The furious monster blamed Pungbak for imprisoning it and swore revenge. Terrified, Lee Nara wondered what kind of creature it was, feeling that she had awakened something very dangerous. The monster shouted that for years it had watched its family fall apart from inside the tree, unable to do anything. Meanwhile, a man in a suit watched in silence. The creature saw him and ordered him to come down. It was Pungbak. He appeared, saying that the seal should never have been broken. Ignoring the question, the monster charged. Pungbak disappeared and reappeared in the air, delivering a double kick that knocked the creature down. He asked how the seal was broken. Meanwhile, Lee Nara, hiding the pencil, pretended to have nothing to do with it. He ordered the monster to return to the tree. Annoyed, the ogre got up and threw a powerful punch at Pungbak's chest. Pungbak stepped back but did not feel the blow. The creature tried to crush him with the back of its hand, but Pungbak blocked the attack without moving. With an air of superiority, he said that if the monster went back to the tree, he would spare its life. Despite the ogre's blows, Pungbak remained unmoved. Seeing that brute force was not working, the blue monster unleashed a powerful burst of fire, but the villain blocked the flames with one arm, telling him to stop playing around. While Pungbak was getting ready to counterattack, the ogre acted quickly. He disappeared and reappeared next to the girl. He grabbed her and jumped away from danger. He ran away with the young woman through a dark door, closing it behind them. Shortly after, Pongbak arrived and opened the door, swearing that this time he would tear off the creature's arms and legs. After a few steps, he noticed a crab and realized that he had fallen into a trap. A magical barrier transported him to a deserted beach where a door stood in the middle of a heart drawn in the sand, and a sign indicated that he was in Busan. Umbak was furious, recognizing the trap of a deity, a trick that had caught him 70 years ago. Meanwhile, in a safe place, the ogre asked the girl if she was hungry. He noticed that she was identical to a young woman in an old photograph, wearing the same clothes. He asked her why she was there, and the young woman replied that she only wanted to take a pencil from the tree. The ogre explained that it was not a pencil, but an arrow that had broken the seal, imprisoning him. Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted by the girl's mobile phone. It was her friend Kyung-go. She took advantage of the ogre's distraction to run and answer the call, trying to ask for help. But the monster was quicker, snatched the phone from her and smashed it. He said that with the guardian deity freed, this place was the safest for her. The girl was terrified, realizing that he planned to keep her prisoner. At that moment, the blonde from the basement appeared, now lucid, and warned her not to trust the ogre. She revealed that he had trapped all of them in the basement, that he was not a guardian but a monster who fed on people. The ogre denied everything, saying that the real monster was Pongbak. To silence her, he struck the blonde, who collapsed instantly, leaving the protagonist in shock. Then, the others trapped in the basement appeared and attacked the ogre, shouting at the student to escape through the window. She ran, while the ogre easily defeated the two men, throwing them against the wall. Desperate, the monster tries to convince her to stay, saying that they are being manipulated and that Pongbak will catch her if she leaves. The girl does not know whom to believe. She remembers Pongbak asking her if she released the creature, and the matriarch's words, "A hunter's arrow chases evil energies." She concludes that the man in the coat was telling the truth and runs away. Angry at not being able to convince her, the ogre stops her, slams her against the wall and leaves her unconscious. Unconscious, a neural connection is broken. The man in the cap who was accompanying her was a clone of Pongbak. The ogre's blow broke the barn. In a building, Pongbak senses the connection and starts running. At the house, the blue ogre decides to eat before dealing with the villain. He feels guilty for hurting the girl in order to protect her. At that moment, a car stops in front of the house. Inside are Nam and his family of hunters. The matriarch senses the spiritual energy of Nara, the protagonist, inside the house. A son jokes that he just uses a tracking app. The family opens the boot and arms themselves with weapons, with talismans, ready to hunt. While the mother protects her relic, Nam prioritizes saving Nara. Nam is the first to act, jumping over the wall. The matriarch notices that the tree in the garden is unusual. They knock on the door but no one answers. When they open it, they find a dark and strange place. Nam's brother stops them, warning about a rabbit hole trap that activates with spiritual power and would send them far away. He says he can disarm the ancient pattern in minutes, but the impatient matriarch simply rips the door off its hinges, saying there is no time. The family enters the house and searches for Nara. So Nam makes a horrible discovery. He finds the blonde girl and the other kidnapped people, all alive, but embedded directly into the walls of the house as part of the structure. The family is horrified to see people trapped in the wall, and the mother tells her eldest son to undo it. He explains that since it is an ancient spell, it will take time, but he starts to free them. Meanwhile, Kyung-go cannot wait and goes looking for Nara on his own, ignoring the family's warnings to stay together. He hears a noise from a door and thinks that Nara might be there. When he opens it a little, he sees a blue ogre with its back turned and notices that the monster is using the rabbit hole talisman to steal food from a market. Moments later, his siblings appear and they also see the creature, which is a dokabi, a type of nature spirit. The dokabi senses their presence, but it is already too late. Kyung-go charges forward, wielding his enchanted baseball bat. He hits the monster on the head and shouts, "Where is Nara?" The creature, barely feeling the blow, only asks who he is. Kyung-go attacks again, demanding his friend. Annoyed, the monster curses the boy. Obsessed with Nara, Kyung-go strikes the enemy's stomach and charges his bat with electricity. But even with the electric blow, the monster is unfazed. The blue creature unleashes a flurry of blows. One of them hits Kyung-go's arm, sending him crashing into the wall. Injured, he realizes that the enemy is very strong. The spirit of nature was eating and got irritated when attacked. The mother steps in and gives the monster a powerful slap. The blow is so strong that it sends him flying across the room, suffering heavy damage and being defeated in a single strike. The matriarch asks about the Malek. The Dokkavi, dazed, only asks what hit him. The mother tells Kyanggu and Jando to go look for Nara while she and her eldest son take care of the ogre. But a moment later, she changes her mind and tells her eldest son to step back, saying she wants to stretch a bit, as it's been a long time since she last fought. The spirit realizes that the woman's power is not spiritual and wonders how she knows Pungbak. He assumes she must be Pungbak's servant to be so strong. The matriarch feels offended by the accusation. Their relationship is one of partnership and necessity. The Dokebi, furious upon hearing Pung, calls her a servant and attacks. He throws a punch, but the woman blocks it with a hand. The monster uses his other arm and as he gets closer realizes she doesn't have any spiritual power, only brute strength. Not wanting to lose, the two of them clash in strength. The Dokebi acknowledges her strength, but the matriarch taunts him. She hasn't even used half of her power yet. The monster retorts that he hasn't even used a quarter of his own, and they start hurling insults at each other while testing their strength. Little by little, the woman takes control, pushing the spirit down until she buries him in the ground. He asks desperately what she is. She punches him in the face, ending the fight. During the fight, Hondo, Sunbae and Gongyu go upstairs looking for Nara. They notice the place is filthy, covered in dust and looks like it's about to collapse. Goom Ji-yu calls out to Nara until he hears a response from one of the rooms. When they open the door, they find the girl gagged on the floor. But the strangest thing is that she's fast asleep and snoring. They can't understand how she can sleep in such a situation. After shaking her a bit, Gungu's voice wakes her up. He asks her if she's alright and unties her. He asks her why she didn't answer her phone. But before she can reply, Nara hugs him. She had gone through something terrifying and needed to calm herself down. Gongji remembered how dangerous the world his friend had gotten into was. Back at the fight, the Dokevi refuses to give in. He and the matriarch exchange blows until the blue monster grabs her and drags her along the walls, destroying everything. Feeling her back hit repeatedly, the woman gets tired and reveals her true form, a giant tiger. With a double swipe of her claws, she seriously injures the monster, who's shocked by her transformation. The impact of their fight makes the house shake even more. The roof of Goong Ji-yu and Nara's room collapses completely. During the fall, Goong Gi hugs Nara and luckily they land on a bed that cushions the impact. The family gathers in the new place. They look around and realize that they are in a strange place, full of piles of empty and sealed containers. The matriarch demands that the Dokebi explain what this is all about. He reveals that the place is a prison and warehouse belonging to Pungbak. He used to capture spirits called Eon Quiz and lock them up here so that they would devour each other. After Spoonback would devour the strongest one. The mother doesn't believe it, saying that he would never do such a thing. She remembers that he encouraged her to purify the world so that one day she could become human. The blue ogre insists that it is true. Spoonback is dying, turning into an empty shell that devours the Eonies to prolong his life. At that moment, Pongbak appears in the middle of the family. The Dokabi explains that by devouring so many spirits, he has become a high-level Yonki. For years, he dedicated himself to saving humans, but death was his only reward. The idea of simply disappearing terrified him. Desperate, he begged the gods for a solution, but the deities remained silent, which led him down this dark path. In his desperate struggle to survive, Pongbak tried everything. One day, he drank an Yonki, a type of spirit, and was amazed by the effects. He realized that he could live and heal part of his illness without begging the gods or humiliating himself. This discovery was a liberation. But what began with a sip soon became an uncontrollable addiction. Pongbak sank into it, filling his body with spirits and feeling a withdrawal that made him crave more. The thirst for more spirits became such a great pain that he could barely remember what he was doing. In this state, he stumbled upon an ancient tree in the garden of a house. It was full of Yonquis that a Dokabi had gathered over 300 years to protect his family. Without thinking, Pongbak sealed the spirit of nature that guarded the tree and, like a farmer harvesting fruits, enjoyed the feast of aged spirits. Back in the present, Pongbak decides that it is time to finish. The Dokebi matriarch confronts him, surprised to see the face of the traitor. She asks him sarcastically if he enjoyed the evil spirits that she had captured, the very same ones he stole. Pongbak replies arrogantly, saying that he had no reason to refuse such a gift. He provokes them, claiming that they crawled like dogs to become human, and that he only treated them like the beasts they are. The matriarch becomes furious at his conceited tone, and even Nara gets angry. Pongbak reviews his Kawitlan. For him, it's only natural to discard what has become useless. He had already secured enough Eon-ki and accumulated a large reserve. Now that the tree was empty, and the family was no longer of any use, it was time to get rid of them. At that moment, the spirit of nature, the tree, starts burning with blue flames, and soon the whole house catches fire, trapping the brothers inside. Pongbak says that they will burn slowly till the end and tries to run away, but the eldest son acts quickly, catching the villain with crimson chains before he can escape. Then, the mother lunges and attacks the man, but his body, saturated with evil spirits, does not suffer any harm. Pongbak transforms, his face half human and half Yongi, and he curses the family, saying that he will wipe out those beasts. He activates his black snake magic, and muddy claws pin the matriarch and the eldest son against the wall. When all seemed lost, the spirit of nature uses its last bit of strength to grab Pongbak, trying to burn him along with itself. At the same time, Nam, the blue ogre, bursts with rage and attacks the villain with powerful blows. Pongbak breaks free and grabs Nam by the neck, saying that he does not know what it means to be abandoned. But Kyungwoo intervenes, suggesting that perhaps Pongbak too had become useless to someone and was cast aside. On hearing this, the villain freezes for a moment, and that doubt is enough for Nam to break free. At that very moment, a spectral blue arrow strikes Pongbak in the chest. It was Nara who improvised a weapon using a pencil, a hair tie, and a ring. Immediately, Kyungwoo takes advantage of the opening and lands a massive, energized thunder punch to the chest. The impact is so powerful that all the Yongis he had devoured are expelled from his body, dissolving into the ground. Without the spirits, Pongbak loses his strength. His body collapses and his face melts away. In shock, he accuses Nara of ruining everything by freeing the Dokkaebi and shooting the arrow. He swears that he will never forget her, but the matriarch warns that there won't be a next time. As a last resort, Pongbak unleashes a wave of dark energy, causing the house to collapse, and uses the chaos to escape amidst the flames. The family must escape from the collapsing building. Hondo finds a possible way out, a refrigerator with a talisman, but hope is short-lived as a concrete block falls and destroys the passage. With the only exit destroyed, desperation takes over them. The other route, the one Pongbak used, is blocked by fire. It seemed like the end, but suddenly, the roots of the burning tree move, revealing a hidden door among the debris. There was another rabbit hole talisman on it, a new chance to escape. The roots of the tree move and open the door, showing a way out. This was the final act of the Dokkaebi, the protective spirit of the place. Nara realizes that he's using his last bit of strength to save them and asks him to escape with the family, but the spirit explains that his fate is tied to the tree. If the tree dies, he will also die. He regrets not being able to protect his home or the family who lived there. But as the guardian deity, he will fulfill his final duty to protect the last guest of the house, Nara. With his last words, the spirit fades away. Nara cannot believe that he's leaving in such a sad way. Seeing the hesitation, Nam pulls her by the arm so that they can run towards the door. She looks back one last time, just in time to see the Dokkaebi's body disintegrate. Feeling sad, she takes a photo from the wall, remembering that the spirit had said the family of the house was very fond of him. He was trapped for 70 years and Nara regrets having been so afraid. She wonders if the outcome would have been different if she had been braver. As they cross the door, the family finds themselves in Busan and everyone hugs each other, happy to be alive. But something goes wrong. Nara and Kyungwoo, the last ones, do not appear. The family realizes that the door had a limit, and so the two of them were sent somewhere else. Meanwhile, the couple emerges in a different place. The house that was once in ruins is now intact with a well-kept garden. Kyungwoo is certain that something very strange is happening. When they turn around to go back through the door, they find a boy with a camera. Nara remembers what the Dokkaebi said about the last descendant. She puts the pieces together and realizes that the spirit did not open a door to the exit, but one to his own past. They are in 1954. The boy asks who they are, and Nara, without wasting any time, tries to warn him about Pongbak's black serpent. She tells him that it's the real monster and that his family was in danger. The boy defends the doctor. He says that Pongbak is kind, treats his mother's illness, and asks Nara not to speak ill of him. Kyungwoo comments that no one would believe strangers saying such things. Nara understands. She too did not believe the Dokebi at first. Now she understands the spirit's helplessness. She realizes that running away or doubting will not solve anything. Even without knowing if it'll work, she decides to try something. Determined not to avoid confrontations any longer, Nara uses the power of her ring and extracts a negative energy from the boy's chest. The little photographer is left confused while Pongbak, watching, is amazed to see Nara capture and destroy the evil spirit with her own hands. She explains to the boy that many things are invisible and that he must trust her. To prove it, she hands him the burned photo she took from the wall, asking him to set aside his prejudices and see her sincerity. At that moment, Dr. Pongbak walks towards them. The door to the future begins to close and Nam shouts to Nara to run or she will be trapped in the past. Before crossing, the girl shouts to the Dokebi still trapped in the tree, promising that one day she will come back to free him. The spirit is amazed to hear her promise. A moment later, Pongbak arrives and opens the door, but finds no one there. The girl left behind words that the Dokabe did not understand at the time, but which gave him hope. Even with his body trapped in the tree, he endured everything while watching the happy family of the boy through the window. The boy, Gunho, became a wonderful photographer, taking pictures of the world for his mother, who could not leave the house. He would show her the flowers in the garden and the smiles of people. His mother used to say that she was happy every day because of him. Gunho grew up, but the happiness did not last. After losing his mother, he lost his father soon after. Alone in the world, the boy became easy prey for Pongbak. The Dokabi, desperate, wanted to protect the boy at all costs, so he decided to give all his power to Gunho, the last descendant, hoping that he would escape and live his dream. Even if it meant becoming an empty shell, the spirit did not mind, as long as the boy was saved. But Pongbak broke into the chamber and soon after, Gunho disappeared. Silence fell over the house, which became a tomb of happy memories. Time passed, the house decayed, and the Dokebi remained alone, feeling useless for not being able to protect anyone. Tired of staring into the void, he began to shout, begging for someone to either free him or eliminate him forever. And it was at that moment, when he had already given up on everything, that a bright light appeared. That light was in fact the arrow that Lee Nara had shot with her ring. It was the arrow of an old promise flying from the past to save them. Back in the present, Nara and Nam Kyung-gu realized that the entire house had been consumed by fire. Because of this, a path had opened up, allowing them to escape. The abandoned house they returned to was now nothing but a heap of black ashes. The big tree was also burned. Amidst the destruction, Nam finds a small light, all that remained of the Dokabi spirit. It was still alive, but its form was tiny and weak. Lee Nara feels relieved to find it and asks if it can hear her. Her colleague, however, warns that the spirit will not recognize her and will soon disappear. Desperate, she asks if there is any way to save it. But Nam Kyung-gu explains that it would be impossible unless the tree comes back to life. At that moment, the police arrive and warn them that it is dangerous for students to enter a fire. An officer asks if they got trapped by accident. He mentions that a witness saw someone enter with a can of petrol and asks if they saw anything, but they deny it. Strangely, the neighbors seemed happy about the fire, saying that the abandoned house was bringing down the value of the neighborhood. The owner refused to sell, that's why the house ended up like this. Curious, Nara asks if the owner is still alive, but the neighbors are not sure. They reveal that he was a famous photographer named Park Ganyo, a documentarian who passed away in 2001. His family donated more than 50,000 of his works to the art museum. With this information, Nara and Kyung-woo go to a farewell photography exhibition in honor of Park Ganyo. Nara realizes that the boy from the past had been alive until quite recently. In the museum, the spectral butterfly guides them while Lee Nara carries the little Dokabe spirit in her hands. The spirit looks at the photos and recognizes the flowers his mother loved, realizing that in the pictures, they never withered. The boy from back then trusted the words that Lee Nara told him. His mother's dream was for him to go out into the vast world beyond the fence, and one day he finally did. He found farmers working under the sun with smiles on their faces and photographed them, filling his work with warm stories. While looking at the works, the couple finds a beautiful photo of a mother and her son. The little Dokabi spirit is delighted to see that Park Ganyo experienced the outside world. There was also a photo of his family by the tree, which makes Nara proud to know that the boy became a great artist. Nam Kyung-woo does not understand why she calls him a boy when he was an old man when he died. Suddenly, a girl approaches and praises the photos of the tree, saying it was her grandfather's favorite and had a special meaning. At that moment, they realize that she is Park Ganyo's granduncle. Jia says goodbye and leaves. This meant that Ganyo was not the last descendant of the family, as the spirit had believed. Upon learning that his lineage was still alive, the Dokabi found peace. He smiles, content, and his body disintegrates into tiny particles of light that settle on the photograph, allowing him to return to the family he loved so much. Lee Nara asks if he survived, but Nam Kyung-woo cannot say. He only comments that, in the end, the spirit seemed happy, trapped in a memory that was neither painful nor fleeting. Shortly after, Nara receives a call. They tell her that they are fine and ask where she and her brother are. She reflects on how everything happened. That day, they took an unusual path and found the dokebi tree, escaping the trap through another door. She wonders whether it was coincidence or a miracle, but concludes that miracles do not come from divine help but from human will. Perhaps the spirits of her parents guided her. In fact, in the museum, there was a photo of Lee Nara with the title of benefactor. Later, Nara's family takes a bullet train to return home. During the journey, she asks her mother why she trusted Pungbak. The matriarch admits that, despite her suspicions, she was blinded by the desire to become human quickly and easily, and she takes the blame. Handong, however, still holds a lot of resentment, as he was the one who most wanted to become human and was left very disappointed. The elder brother agrees that it is disappointing, but says there is nothing to be done, suggesting that they continue helping humans as they always have. The mother says that volunteering is not her style and reveals that she was already preparing to reactivate her accounts and recreate the secret chats. Thus, a new group is formed with a clear objective: to find the sacred relics of Dangun and discover a way to become human. Meanwhile, we see some wicked people gathered around a jar that traps spirits. Among them is Pungbak. He asks a newly released spirit if it liked its new body. The spirit from the bottle complains that the body is rubbish. Another evil being tells it to look for a better one. The spirit discards the body and says it will look for a more interesting one. It reveals itself as the nine-tailed fox. Knowing that Pungbak would not have released it for nothing, it asks what he wants. The villain says it's not Notch. He just wants the fox to do what it always does: send evil spirits to devour humans and plunge the world into chaos. But he gives one order: do not touch Lenara. He wants her soul for himself. The scene takes us to the past. Inside a crystal ball, a mist and white flames flicker. A man did not understand the voice, but he knew it was one of Dangun's sacred relics, a troublesome thing his wife had left behind. To possess it meant to become a target for all sorts of evils. While he was thinking, his young son swallowed the crystal ball. The father became frantic, shouting at him to spit it out immediately. In the mountains of Chiorem, Gangwon province, this father and his son lived cut off from the world. Little Nam Kyung-woo grew up wild, hunting animals with the spectral energy he possessed. One day, he jumped from a tree onto his father's lap and gave him a slight electric shock. The father asked him if he had been worried, but the boy said no. When his father asked him what he was doing, Kyung-woo replied that he was swimming. He also climbed trees and ran around the mountain. Worried, the father asked if he had eaten raw meat again, but the boy couldn't be sure. Kyung-woo wanted to know if he had caught Leongkwe, but he hadn't. That's why his father would have to go hunting again. He apologized for leaving him alone again without any friends. Kyung-woo said he was fine and only asked for pizza when his father returned. Then he asked if he was tired and if he missed Mum. His father tried to hide it by saying no, but Kyung-woo knew the truth. He heard him say her name in his sleep. Curious, the boy asked why he chose his mother. His father explained that he couldn't help it. He said she was beautiful and he became a fool when he saw her. That feeling made him believe that no one could ever replace her. She made him believe in destiny. His father explained that destiny cannot be changed even if the stars fall from the sky. He assured him that one day when Kyung-woo found someone like his mother, he would understand how he felt. Kyung-woo was not curious about her, but seeing his father smile while talking about her made him happy. The next day, his father got ready to hunt the Yonggi. Kyung-woo asked why he insisted on capturing those spirits, if it was dangerous and if that would make them human. His father explained that was not the reason. He did it because he believed it was the right thing to do. For him, living as a human was simple. Just love, help each other, and live with kindness. Kyung-woo, with his beastly side, asked if appearance did not matter, and his father confirmed it. As long as they lived like humans, their appearance did not matter. Thinking his father was brilliant, Kyung-woo asked for pizza again. Before leaving, his father warned him that his tail was showing. Only the boy decided to live as a human, just as he was taught. He handed out nuts to the squirrels and carrots to the rabbits, believing that he loved and helped them. He planned to live as a human the next day, but days went by and his father did not return. He had promised to come back in 3 nights. His father was always late, but this time it was different. On the 5th night, someone Kyung-woo had never seen before appeared. It was an old woman, Nara's grandmother, who said he was very good at imitating humans. From her smell, Kyung-woo felt she was dangerous and acted hostile. The old woman told him not to be afraid, that she was not there to hunt him and that she and his father were old companions. That was when she gave him the terrible news. The woman mourned the death of his father and handed him an urn, saying that he had returned as ashes. She said that it didn't matter if he slept for 10 or 100 nights, his father would never come back. From that moment on, Kyung-woo was alone forever. He looked at the urn and wondered if this was the fate his father always spoke about. The old lady invited him to go with her, promising to take care of him. When Kyung-woo asked why she was helping him, she replied that his father never questioned her reasons for helping. She asked him his name and revealed that his father had named him Nam Kyung-woo so that he would live helping people. Back in the present, Nara notices that Kyung-woo is lost in thought and asks him what he's thinking about. He replies that he was just remembering the past. At that moment, a bus almost runs over Nara, but Kyung-woo saves her in the blink of an eye, showing his protective instinct. Nara comments that he has been treating her very well lately, very different from the irritable boy he used to be. Kyung-woo knows that all this kindness is because she is the granddaughter of the old lady who saved his life. Meanwhile, elsewhere, 3 rat-like creatures are discussing a plan. One asks if their human form is convincing and the others are sure that it's perfect for deceiving. They question why the boss sent them to do something so dangerous, since messing with Pang Bak could mean death. Despite their fear, the plan was to infiltrate the school and take one of Nara's nails without anyone noticing. At school, class is about to start, but on the rooftop, 2 students are kissing. Suddenly they feel like someone is watching them. The girl says it's just their imagination since no one would come up there during class hours, and they continue. What they don't know is that several spirits are watching everything. A female spirit named Mia seems irritated, finding it absurd that the students are doing that in broad daylight. Another ghost starts to tease her and the 2 of them argue. He hints that Mia never did such things in her life because she didn't want to, which makes her furious. The truth is, she gets upset seeing others experience things she never could. Mia died without even holding a man's hand and wonders why the world is so unfair. In the midst of her sadness, she sees Nam Kyung-woo going up the stairs and is captivated. For her, he is the only light in a miserable world. Just seeing him makes her feel better, but her happiness doesn't last long. Nara appears by her side and jealousy takes over Mia. She assumes that the 2 of them are dating and feels as if her only source of happiness has been snatched away. Her life seemed cruel and hopeless. To make matters worse, Nara stops next to Mia to talk, noticing that she doesn't look well and offering her help. Nara's kindness only makes Mia feel worse, thinking it's unfair that someone can be so beautiful and good. Mia remembers that it was Nara who saved her from a fox attack, and her envy grows even more. She concludes that she's a horrible person and that's why she doesn't deserve to be happy. Her life had always been a series of pain. Her parents died in a car accident and she had to become the head of the family, taking care of her 5 younger siblings. She left school to look after them during the day and worked in a factory at night. On her days off, she did odd jobs at a restaurant, dedicating every second of her life to her siblings. One day, her kind boss sent her home early, saying that he would finish the work. He gave her an advance on her salary, praising her for her hard work. Mia thought it was wonderful. Mia's boss not only paid her salary, but also gave her a bonus for her siblings. Grateful, she noticed that he had something to say to her, and for a moment it seemed like a romance was about to begin. Her life was not only filled with sadness. There were small moments of happiness that she cherished. But just when she thought she could be happy, Mia died from overwork. Her concern for her siblings was so great that she could not leave this world. As a spirit, she haunted them to make sure her younger brother studied. By following him and bothering him, she ended up trapped in a school. Nara, upon hearing the story, understood that Mia's love for her brother was what kept her tied there. Mia confessed that her only joy was Nam Kyunwoo, and the sadness of knowing they would never be together was immense. Not wanting to continue the conversation, she turned around to leave. Nara tried to stop her, saying that at least she should stay to see her brother's graduation. Suddenly, a beast that looked like a rat emerged and pushed Nara down the stairs. During the fall, Mia's spirit, which was beside her, also fell and somehow entered the girl's body. At that moment, Nam Kyunwoo appeared and extended his hand to help her. For Mia's spirit, seeing the man she loved offering help was a shock. For the first time, she felt the touch of his skin and her mind was filled with romantic scenarios, leaving her euphoric. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Mia, in Nara's body, began to openly flirt with Kyunwoo, surprising everyone. She noticed every detail about him, from his jawline to the veins on his arms, falling more and more in love. Kyunwoo, on the other hand, felt uncomfortable with her gaze, saying that it was very seductive. Without wasting any time, she invited him to the rooftop, a place known as a meeting spot for couples. The invitation left Kyunwoo speechless. Mia took his silence as shyness since they weren't dating. Determined to be more forward, she asked him if he didn't like going on dates and boldly hugged them from behind. The scene left the students in shock. Yoo-hoo, furious and embarrassed, pushed her away without understanding what was happening and left. Mia was confused. She thought he would like her initiative. In her romances, the main character always fell for that kind of move. Reality was different. Nara's friends came over, asking if she was alright since her behavior was strange. Mia knew her time was fought. As soon as the real Lee Nara woke up, everything would be over. She needed to win over Kyunwoo that very day. On the rooftop, Kyunwoo was processing what had happened. He was so embarrassed that his beast's tail almost showed up. He reflected on Nara's intimacy, and although he knew something was wrong, a part of him enjoyed the closeness. He thought that maybe she did like you. Far away, the three rat men who had attacked Nara gathered together. They complained that they couldn't even get a fingernail from the girl since she was stuck to Kyunwoo. Their boss gave an order, do not touch Nara. But he didn't say anything about the others, so to get close, they would have to get rid of Nam Kyunwoo first. Later at home, Mia, still in Nara's body, lay exhausted on the bed. Even though she didn't achieve anything concrete with the boy, it was a wonderful day. Even so, she felt she had missed a golden opportunity. Before leaving Nara's body, she decided to change her clothes. When she opened the wardrobe, she found a rabbit burrow-shaped amulet and to her surprise, discovered a secret room. Curious, she went through it and came out the other side, finding Nam Kyunwoo asleep in his bed. She didn't understand the connection between their rooms and wondered about his relationship with Nara. Realizing that they lived together, Mia understood that this was the opportunity fate had given her. Without thinking twice, she entered the boy's room and climbed onto his bed. Seeing him sleeping from so close, she didn't know what to do, but excitement took over her. Determined, she climbed on top of him, planning to steal a kiss and then leave. But Kyunwoo was not a thief. He had sensed her presence and was pretending to sleep to see what she would do. When her face came closer, he woke up, blocking the kiss with the palm of his hand. His eyes shone with a deep red glow. Taking Nara's face in his hands, he asked menacingly, "Who are you?" He knew she was not the real Mara. Angry at the impersonation, he intimidated the spirit to reveal its identity, threatening to destroy it if it did not leave the body. Mia, panicking, said that if he attacked her, he would end up hurting Nara's body. But he did not care and with a burst of energy, expelled her spirit. Mia's ghost, feeling ashamed, apologized and fled. Kyunwoo shouted at her to stop, but her fear was greater and she vanished. His anger was obvious, but perhaps only because she was not the real Nara. If it had been her, his reaction would have been very different. At that moment, Kyunwoo tries to wake up Lee Nara, but she does not respond. He realizes that the expression on her face is her own, not that of the ghost who had possessed her. Meanwhile, on an astral plane, Nara feels comfortable as if she were touching soft and warm fur. It is here that she hears someone calling for Munshi. Suddenly, she returns to her body and wakes up at home, hardly remembering anything from the previous day. Shortly after, she finds out that the ghost Mia used her body to try and seduce Kyunwoo, and she is shocked. Mia apologizes and promises not to do it again. Embarrassed, Nara asks if anything happened between her and Kyunwoo, and he confirms that nothing did. Even so, Nara says that she cannot forgive the ghost. Kyunwoo steps in, saying that he cannot let a ghost who possesses people roam free, and that he'll help her move on to the other side. Mia refuses, As she needs to stay to watch her brother grow up, Lee Nara tries to defend the ghost, saying that she stayed at the school out of concern for her brother and that she had a tough life taking care of her siblings. But Nam Kyung-woo is not moved. For him, what the ghost did was wrong, no matter what her intentions were. He makes it clear that the problem was not just a simple kiss, but that it happened against his will. Suddenly, everyone's attention shifts to an old man arguing with a student outside the school. The principal scolds Kim Seok-woo for smoking. At that moment, Mia recognizes the boy as a younger brother. Outraged by his attitude and not understanding her sister's sacrifice, Nara walks up and snatches the cigarette from Kim Seok-woo's hand, leaving everyone surprised. She calls him an idiot and tells him that his sister cares about him. Hearing about his deceased sister, the boy gets emotional, but the ghost points at the principal and clarifies that he is her real brother. Nara is mortified by her mistake. Mia was worried about the principal, who doesn't dress well and is bald. He says that he still feels his sister's presence and that her voice gave him the strength to raise his siblings and start a family. Everyone feels relieved to see that her brother grew up well and the matter's forgotten. Sometime later, Jung-woo finds Nara asleep and wonders whether to take her to bed. Instead, he lies down next door. He hesitates, almost puts his hand over hers but pulls back. While sleeping, our heroine repeats, Manji. And in this dreamlike state, a strange story is revealed. The experiment of the rat utopia. The idea was to create a paradise for them, but as the population grew, their behavior changed. The strongest monopolized everything while the weak were isolated. Tired of the competition, many became violent and society collapsed. Even though the population decreased and the environment improved, the surviving rats only cared about themselves, with no interest in others. The experiment was stopped before the collapse, but the lesson was clear. This idea of competition connects with what is happening in Nara's classroom. She receives an exam and is shocked to see that she only got 40 marks, while her friends scored high grades. Nara feels disheartened, thinking she is the only one falling behind and doubting whether she will get into university. Suddenly, she hears her friends criticizing her, calling her lazy. When Nara confronts them, they deny it, but then they turn around with red eyes and insult her cruelly, saying she will never be at their level. A rat man appears and announces a new experiment. The school turns dark and the number one appears on Nara's back. A notice on the blackboard announces a game of hide and seek with a killer. Kyung-woo appears with the number 2 on his back, confused by the darkness. Nara's friends with the numbers 3 and 4 think they are in a theme park. They look outside and realize that they are in a huge place with buildings. The girls find someone and decide to ask for information. To their horror, the man is a monster with an axe, bulging eyes and crooked teeth. The killer tells them to hide well and lunges at them as they run away in panic. Jung-woo is surrounded by 3 rat monsters that want to devour him. Without hesitation, he launches a counter-attack. With a powerful punch, he knocks down the first one, dodges the second and hits it, sending it flying into the third. Within seconds, all 3 monsters are on the ground. Jung-woo looks at them menacingly, but just then, the monsters call for the ripped one. Seeing Jung-woo's strength, the rat men shout that he must be devoured for being too strong. At that moment, a giant cooked monster appears. The creature, which looks like it's made of cloth, thanks them for the food and, to Jung-woo's astonishment, devours one of the rat men standing next to him. Without thinking, Jung-woo attacks the monster's belly with a spectral punch. However, its belly transforms into a spiral that swallows his fist. Immediately afterwards, he receives a powerful counter-attack to his stomach that sends him flying against the wall. Taking advantage of the opportunity, the monster grabs him by the hand, lifts him into the air and slams him onto the ground, asking if he has ever died before while bringing its mouth closer to devour him. But Jung-woo asks if it really wants to eat him that badly. When the creature opens its mouth, he lands a direct electric punch to its throat. The blow destroys the monster's body, which collapses. From inside it, thousands of rats begin to pour out. Only then does Jung-woo realize that he is in a rat's nest. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the protagonist Lee Nara is hiding in a classroom. 4 armed ratmen are searching for her, and Nara wonders what terrifying creatures they are. While hiding, she finds another girl who tells her to keep quiet, but it is of no use. A monster climbs onto a desk, asks if she is there, and finds her, leaving her terrified. The monster tries to attack her, but Nara manages to dodge. Soon, the armed ratmen move forward, and the other girl helps her to escape. While they're running away, Lee Nara asks who they are, and a new companion explains that they are rat monsters who are after her. They are the rats that eat fingives. They go up the stairs, but the exit is blocked by a locker. To make matters worse, dozens of armed rackmen appear, surrounding both of them. Terrified, they wonder what to do. Nara's companion, holding an axe, tells her to stay close to the railing. She uses the axe to cut the rope holding the lockers above. The furniture starts to fall, burying the rackmen and making them drop their weapons. Taking advantage of the distraction, the girl uses a key with a rabbit charm to open a locker and tells Nara to follow her, saying she'll tell her more about the place. Nara enters the narrow locker and she crawls through a passage to a hiding place. The girl explains that the rats do not know about this space, so they are safe here. She introduces herself as Kim Hyuna and says that she was dragged here a month ago. When she woke up, she was already in what she calls a rat hole, since everyone here seems like lab rats. Hoina reveals that about 30 people were brought here, but almost all of them have been eliminated and devoured by the rats. She explains that new people like Nara are captured for this hell created by Gaham, the Rat King. Back to Jung Yu, he interrogates a surviving ratman. The monster explains that a competition is held here and only those who survive can reach the throne. Jung Yu asks what is on the throne, and the ratman replies that it is absolute power and only the number one can sit there. The escape route from the rat hole is above the throne. Jung Yu realizes that to get out, he needs to defeat the Rat King Gaham. He orders the ratmen to take him to their kiln. They escort him through a dark place, and Jung Yu notices that there's a clear hierarchy under Gaham's command. Suddenly, the villain appears out of the darkness, saying that rats can't be trusted, they'll betray you at the first chance. Jung Yu realizes that he's facing the Rat King. Gaham introduces himself as the master of the place, but the student interrupts him with a punch. From the king's cheek, several rats emerge, climbing up Jung-Gu's hand and covering his body, leaving him terrified. The king says that Jung-Gu is not strong, as he is just a lab rat. When the boy asks why he's doing this, Gaham reveals that he desires things from others, and that's why he was curious about what makes Lee Nara so special. Upon hearing her name, Jung Yu, overwhelmed by the rats, asks if Lee is there. The king confirms that the experiment with the girl has begun. Gaham wonders what fate would suit her, saying that he wants to see her darkness. The rats begin to consume him, but enraged, Jung-Gu shouts at them to get off. At that moment, his aura turns dark and powerful, forcing the rats to back off. Suddenly, Jung-Gu's mind is transported to the house where he lived as a youngster. He meets his father, who seems happy to see him. Jung-Yu says that he missed him a lot, but his father's expression changes. He tells him that in the past and even now, the boy will always be alone. The fake father reminds him why they used to live hidden away in the mountains. Jung-Yu always brought misfortune to his loved ones, like the old woman who was murdered in front of him while he couldn't do anything. While Young-Ju is trapped in this illusion, Lee Nara and Kim Hyuna are hiding in a bathroom. They notice the silence and wonder if they can come out now, but they know the monsters are killers and are scared. Suddenly, the door of one of the stalls opens and panicking, they hold their breath. Someone enters the stall next to them. They see several feet and think about asking for help, believing it's a person. Through the gap, a rat man appears and asks if anyone is hiding. The girls' screams echo through the bathroom as they are discovered. Immediately, a rat woman notices their presence and grabs a cutter. Within seconds, about 6 armed rat women surround the stall, asking who is hiding. Meanwhile, in another room, Nara watches everything through a camera and sees that her friends Sojin and Omsi are in danger. Next to her, Hyuna makes a cynical remark. She questions whether Nara really considers them friends, reminding her that at the end of this competition, only one person can sit on the throne and escape. She explains that in this game, people cooperate at first only to save themselves in the end, and friendship means nothing. Nara knows that her friends are not like Bahap. She understands that the Rackmen are only testing their loyalty. Huna insists that it is safer to stay in the bunker to avoid betrayal, but Nara ignores her. She picks up a ruler and a pencil, declaring that if she is no longer human but a monster, then she can fight. Hyuna calls her foolish, saying that only one person will come out alive, but Nara replies firmly that she will save everyone and return home. Elsewhere, Nam Jung-Yu is trapped in psychological torture. The Rat King Gaham plays with his mind by bringing up the memory of his grandmother. Gaham knows that Jung-Gu's weak point is his fear of abandonment and loneliness, the same pain he felt when his father and grandmother left. The king accuses him of being a selfish coward who only looks after others out of fear of being alone. Jung-Gu shouts in denial, trying to resist those words. As he screams, a dark shadow and thorns begin to emerge around him. Gehem takes advantage of this negative energy to look inside Jungwoo's soul, wanting to expose the weak nature he believes all humans hide. Inside, the Rat King finds a giant black wolf imprisoned. This was Jungwoo's big sea chert. Suddenly, Jungwoo's father's spirit appears and tells the king to stop. He explains that the thorns are, in fact, his son's effort to control himself and behave like a human. But the Rat King doesn't care and breaks the thorns, releasing the beast. With the seal broken, the giant and ferocious wolf is unleashed and attacks brutally, tearing off half of the king's spiritual body. The king realizes his mistake. Jungwoo was not hiding his nature. He had completely sealed it away, and now the monster was free. Jungwoo's vision shatters and he's thrown to the ground. Now he's transformed, a mix of man and wolf. In this beastly form, he attacks the king mercilessly, unleashing blows that destroy his body. Just before being defeated, the Rat King starts laughing, saying that Jung Ji-yu now looks more like the beast he truly is. Jung-yu strikes once more, causing the enemy's body to explode. From within the destroyed body, thousands of rats burst out and the true king's voice echoes. He says that he has awakened a terrible monster that now moves purely by instinct. The king invites him to a special event, and at that very moment, several stitched up ragdolls attack. The Rat King encourages him to let loose and embrace his true nature, where the strong devour the weak. Jung-yu accepts the invitation with a smile and fiercely destroys the dolls, hunting them down one by one to avenge his grandmother. In the bathroom, the situation was desperate. The rat women had grabbed Sujin and Yom Si by the hair, ready to devour them. But at the very last second, a pencil arrow strikes one of the rat women, who falls down. Annoyed, Nara appears and challenges them by attacking. She runs to lure the remaining three and leads them into a trap. The rat women follow her without thinking and fall off the building. Sujin and Yeomsi are impressed by the plan, and Nara hugs her friends, relieved to have saved them. One of the rescued girls thinks about how Nara risked everything for them. This reminds her of a dark moment from the past. She remembers when they saw Hyuna, the girl who was with Nara, about to jump off the school roof. Instead of helping, they just took photos, showing that their friendship was not always genuine. In the present, Nara explains to Hyuna that the only way out is the top floor. But Hyuna is suspicious, believing that in the end, everyone will betray each other in the fight for the throne. That's why she considers going back to her safe hiding place to avoid suffering anymore. Even so, Nara reaches out her hand, offering to escape together. At that moment, Hyuna notices a ragged monster approaching behind Nara and shouts to warn her. Suddenly, several of them appear and charge to devour the girls. But in an instant, a shadow slices the first monster. It was the werewolf. With great speed, he eliminates the creatures with claws and electric attacks. The girls are paralyzed, shocked to see the monsters defeated in seconds. Nara, dazed, does not recognize the creature. Her fear grows as the werewolf walks towards them. He prepares a powerful attack, ready to use his claws against Nara, whom he sees as a being of light. Desperate, she shouts Jungwoo's name without understanding why. Upon hearing the name, the creature stops its attack and hugs her, as if a memory has been awakened. The Rat King watches on, frustrated from a distance. He had hoped that the beast would follow its instincts and get rid of the girl, and for a moment it seems like that's exactly what will happen. During the embrace, Kyungwoo's body trembles. His eyes fill with rage and his claws pierce Nara's back, making her scream. Seeing this, Huina regrets following her, realizing that he truly was a monster. Nara shouts at Namkyungwoo to control himself. In the midst of his fury, he seems to recognize her. The beast lets go of the girl and hands her over to her fins. Seeing Nara's blood on his hands, Kyungwoo feels regret. In his vision, everything turns dark except for his own body, which glows blue. He doesn't want her to leave him alone. The girls run away up the stairs and he follows them. Hyuna shouts for the monster to stay away, but her friends notice that he is no longer aggressive, just sad. The girls keep climbing, but soon they find several rackmen blocking the staircase. They get ready to fight, but before Nara can shoot, Nam Kyungwoo rushes past them. Full of rage, he attacks the monsters and takes them out brutally. Confused by the help, Hyuna doesn't question it and leads the group upwards. The Rat King finds the wolf's unpredictability amusing like a toy, but swears to destroy him in the end. They reach the rooftop where the only escape route is, a climb to the throne of absolute power. There, her companion recognizes Yuna, introduces himself as number 18 and tells Nara that this is his third attempt to reach the top, offering his help. But their conversation is interrupted when Jangwoo appears, glaring at the boy with hatred, who runs away terrified. At that moment, the Rat King appears before everyone, announcing the final test. The game is simple. Whoever sits on the throne first wins. He declares that effort never betrays and the winner takes it all off. At the starting signal, Nam Kyung-woo in his wolf form climbs towards the throne. The other competitors, seeing that he's attracting the attention of hundreds of rackmen, use the distraction to their advantage and also start climbing. The feast of the rackmen begins and they advance upon the competitors. Only Kyung-woo faces the ward. With electric attacks and absurd speed, he defeats dozens of monsters, clearing a path. The other competitors, impressed by his power, take the opportunity to move forward. Hyuna and the other three girls also take advantage to climb up. Everyone gives their best to survive and return home. The danger is real. Amidst the chaos, one of the competitors is caught by two rat men and brutally eliminated. His life comes to an end, finished off by the rat man. At the same time, two other creatures move towards a group of survivors. Two friends get ready to fight. One says he'll take care of the one on the right and the other the one on the left. But in a desperate act, one pushes his friend towards the beast to save himself. The betrayed boy gets furious and shouts that the traitor with the cap will not survive. The one with the red cap, now alone, wonders why he did that. He acted without thinking. He remembers a moment earlier when he must have passed by a parked bike with the key left in. The last thing that comes to his mind is the thrill of riding that bike in secret. And then nothing. He had an accident and ended up in this strange place. While his former friend is being torn apart by the rat man, the boy keeps climbing, crying for his parents and wants to go home. But an axe flies towards him and his life comes to an end. The students, including Kim Hyuna and Lee Nara, are terrified to see the scene. At the top, a bald man with the axe warns that from now on anyone who tries to pass will be eliminated. He says that if they don't want a tragic end, they should stay down and not climb up. Two competitors threaten him, but the bald man challenges them. One of them, blinded by hatred, climbs up shouting that he will get out of there alive. Lee Nara realizes that everyone has gone mad. She had hoped that by working together they would escape and even become friends. But that idea falls apart when the bald man eliminates the competitor with a single blow. Cooperation is no longer an option. Kim Hyuna recognizes the pattern. That's why she didn't want to climb up to the throne. People change in extreme situations, and a psychopath like that bald fellow always shows up. According to her, even the sanest people lose control in desperation because this place is hell. The bald man asks if anyone else wants to face him. The other competitors step back in fear. He mocks them, saying that if they're scared, they should just stay put while he wins. He promises that once he's out, he'll get rid of everyone who reported him to the police. Just at that moment, the werewolf Nam Gyun-woo silently appears behind him. With a single blow, he sends the bald man flying. The impact is so great that everyone is left astonished. Gyun-woo considered him weak, but for the others, he is a terrifying monster. Everyone feels afraid upon seeing his true nature. He remembers the words of the fox. Humans react with aversion and fear when they see him, but Lee Nara's reaction is different. For him, his true nature is beautiful and radiant. The girl recognizes him and no matter his form, calls him by his human name. The wolf inside Gyun-woo wants to hunt the Rackman, but Nam asks to take control for a moment. He wants to use his strength to love and help just as his father taught him. Even though he looks like a wolf, inside he is still Nam Gyun-woo. This is his true essence. When he returns to his human form and looks back, everyone recognizes him. He asks them to hold on a little longer. Lee Nara positions herself to protect her friends, and Nam Gyun-woo moves forward to destroy the Rat King, the master of the game. The game master, Gae-yum, congratulates Gyun-woo for being number one, but reminds him that a game is just a game and that he should take the throne and escape. Gyun-woo does not care about the rules. He says that the real target is the king for imprisoning and eliminating innocents, forcing them to fight. He declares that Gae-yum's sick pastime will end today. Gae-yum responds that this place is just a reflection of the human world, a world of hatred where you either eliminate or get eliminated. She explains that she was born during the Korean War, growing from the hatred of the dying, and now devours the souls of the losers. She claims that there's nothing sweeter than a soul full of malice. Enraged, Gyun-woo calls him a demon and demands that he come down to fight. The Rat King laughs, saying that the real demons are the humans who never stop fighting and hating. Then she unleashes a huge wave of rats on Gyunwoo, but the student says he won't fall for the same trick twice and throws an electric punch that sends the creatures flying. Afterwards, he gives Gai Yuam a solid kick to the face, followed by a powerful, thunderous blow to her chest. Gyunwoo doesn't stop throwing punches full of hatred until Gaum's body starts bubbling like mud. The Rat King bursts out in anger, asking if the game is over, revealing his true form. He transforms into a gigantic creature made of black sludge with a deformed face. Gai Yum screams that humans turned him into this with the hypocrisy, pretending to be good while hiding their inner ugliness. Saying this, he attacks with his tentacles, and the first blow lands directly on Gyunwoo. Meanwhile, Lee Nara watches the fight, worried that he is alone and has taken such a heavy blow. Her attention shifts as she sees a rat man about to finish off another. Without hesitation, she saves the young man by shooting one of her spectral arrows shaped like a pencil. The boy thanks her, but Kim Hyuna scolds her, saying that this is not the time to worry about others, especially not about competitors who were ahead. Nara replies that she can't just stand by and watch someone get eliminated. At that moment, another student saves Kim Hyuna from a surprise attack from behind. Nara tells Hyuna not to get distracted. She never wanted to climb so high. She was terrified to realize that this place was an even worse hell than the rest of the game. Despite her fear, Kim Hyuna's words give Lee Nara the courage to keep fighting. Suddenly, a boy appears at the top, declares himself the first to reach the throne, and proclaims himself the winner. Nara recognizes him instantly. He's the same man she saved from the beasts. For a moment, she regrets helping him, thinking she should have pretended not to see him. That frustration hangs in the air, filling the place with dark emotions. The others feel jealous and angry seeing him win. Some even consider pushing him. And that's exactly what happens when a hooded figure throws him off the throne. Seeing her chance, Kim Hyuna shouts that it's not too late to reach the top. Driven by the moment, Nara runs, but then she stops. She wonders why she's running so desperately. Is that hole in the sky the only way out? And what is on the other side? Who made all these rules? While thinking about it, she looks to the side and sees Nam Kyunwoo in trouble. He is being beaten up by the Rat King, a giant mud creature called Gayum. The monster jumps on him, claiming to be the king of the place, and its stomp hurts Kyunwoo badly. Inside, his inner beast, a wolf, tells him that he is going to need help, but Kyunwoo refuses, insisting that he'll win with his own strength. He focuses spiritual energy into his foot and manages to smash one of the monster's legs. But the creature regenerates instantly and kicks him again. Gayum explains that he is invincible here as the place is overflowing with dark human emotions. The inner wolf scolds him for denying its existence. It explains that both of them exist like waves in the same sea and that with him lies a sacred relic, the Thunder Wolf. The beast says that he must use the power of malevolent spirits like the hero Pangbak. Genu finally understands. He admits that he was hiding his darkness, afraid of being consumed by it. But now he accepts that it is also a part of him. Following the wolf's advice, he unleashes the power of the relic with a brutal strike. The attack annihilates Goyim's monstrous form. All the competitors stop to watch as the Rat King disintegrates in his own domain. Nam Gyunwoo declares that the monster's game is over. Gayum screams that she will regenerate, but as she tries to escape, a huge fissure appears. Nara realizes that the darkness around them is identical to what she saw when she was trapped inside the fox. At that moment, a suspicion arises in her mind. They're trapped inside the soul of the Rat King. Nara's theory is confirmed when she sees the monster's real body on the ground, sick and spewing fluids inside a ritual circle. She takes a pencil and a rubber band, using her ring to make an improvised bow, the same technique she used to escape from the fox. If her assumption is correct, the hole in the sky is not the only way out, they just have to find another one, just like Gannu did when he defeated the monster. He searches for something in the mud of the fallen monster. Nara throws the pencil straight at the crack. The pencil hits the target and starts to shine. In the real world, the Rat King glows and screams in pain. The space collapses. Furious over the destruction of his kingdom, Gayam attacks Nara, but Nam Kyunwoo takes the opportunity and lands a powerful knee strike on the now weaker monster, who falls down helplessly. Kyunwoo says that his game is about to begin, and both head towards the final confrontation while the students try to survive the chaos. The tower collapses and the survivors struggle to stay on their feet. But Nara notices something incredible. The structure not only collapses, it transforms into a path. She says that everyone can get out alive if they follow her. Kim Hyuna hesitates, wondering if it is safe, but Lee Nara takes her hand and says they will escape together. Those words deeply affect Hyuna, taking her back to a memory from her past. She remembers her loneliness at school until a girl named A approached her. A was everything Hyuna was not: beautiful, intelligent, and popular. They had similar interests and soon became very close. Thanks to A's personality, they formed a group of friends with A always at the center. Hyuna felt both admiration and envy. He wanted to be like A, to beat her at something at least once. That day came when the teacher handed out the exam results. Kim Hyuna scored 99, coming first. A's marks, on the other hand, had dropped. Apparently, A got upset. From that moment, the other girls in the group started to exclude Hyuna. Kim Hyuna's exclusion got worse with each passing day. Whenever she tried to talk about a boy, her friends would ignore her, making it clear that she was no longer part of the group. The exclusions increased and Hyuna had no one to talk to about the bully. She started overthinking, wondering what she had done wrong to be treated like that, and her anxiety shot up. The turning point came in the bathroom. Hiding, she overheard her former friend saying that she copied everything from A, from her clothes to the way she acted. There was even a rumor going around that Hyuna was only popular because of her. Hearing that was devastating, and Hyuna started scratching herself out of nervousness. Her mother had bought the outfit just by coincidence. She never wanted to copy anyone. When she got home, she tore up the jacket that looked like A's and asked to throw it away. Her mother, worried, asked if she was being bullied, but Hyuna burst out. Her mother found her behavior strange and asked if she was studying, which made Hyuna explode, questioning whether grades were more important than her feelings. She confessed that she had no friends and, in a crisis, banged her head against the wall. Her mother hugged her, promising that she would make good friends at university, but the damage was already done. The next day, Abba asked what had happened to her face. Desperate, Hyuna humbled herself by asking what she had done wrong and apologizing for hurting her ex-friend's pride. I suggested clearing everything up in a group chat, but it was a trap. When she joined, her classmates called her stupid and said it was annoying to hang out with her. Even a day of karaoke that Hyuna thought was fun, they described as horrible. Their harsh words felt like physical wounds to her. Because of this, her grades, which had always been good, plummeted. Feeling that everything was her fault and that her life was falling apart, she went up to the rooftop thinking of ending it all. She wondered why it was so difficult for someone to help her. When someone pushed her from behind, her back was marked with the 0 and she began to fall. But as she was falling, Hyuna regretted it. She didn't want it to end like this. At that moment, the scene returns to the reality of the game. Hyuna was holding on to Lee Nara's hand as they pulled her to safety. A protagonist shouted at her to hold on, that they were almost at the exit. The others helped, and their support gave Hyuna a new will to live. After all, she finally found a reason to fight. Meanwhile, Gam, in pieces, insisted that the game was over. But Nam Kyang-gu was not satisfied. He declared that he would destroy the entire place so that the monster wouldn't hurt anyone else. Focusing a bolt of lightning in his hand, he summoned the Thunderwolf, which disintegrated the creature and began to destroy the arena. With Gannu's attack, the tower collapsed. In the chaos, a survivor ran to the throne, declaring himself the winner as the chair floated. But the victory was short-lived, as the space collapsed, being sucked into a black hole. Everyone held on tightly so as not to be swept away. Kim Hyuna, full of hope, thought that she would finally escape from that hell. She remembered her mother's words and decided to endure a little longer. She wanted to live to correct her mistakes. She was not going to give up. But at the last moment, a rat man appeared and struck her on the back with an axe. Lee Nara tried to hold her, but Hyuna fell onto a table saying she had no luck. Nara begged her to hold on, but it was too late. With a last bit of strength, Hyuna apologized to her mother for being so difficult. Feeling Nara's warmth, her spirit left her body. Nara screamed, unable to believe what she was seeing. The black hole was swallowing everything. She tried to grab Hyuna's soul but managed to get only a fragment before everything vanished. Suddenly, all the students woke up in their bodies in the real world. Nara woke up with that piece of Hyuna's soul, proved that it wasn't just a dream. In front of her, she saw the spirit of a new friend. Hyuna's spirit said that, in another life, they might have met in some unknown place, become friends, and shared secrets. Perhaps they would have been very close if fate hadn't been so cruel. Hearing this, Nara started crying and shouted that they were already friends. Before disappearing completely, Hyuna thanked her and faded away into the air. Shortly after, Nam Kyung-woo appeared in the hospital room. Crying inconsolably, Nara told him that her friend hadn't managed to make it out. She felt guilty for being the only one to survive, even though she had promised they would leave together. Kyung-woo comforted her, repeating again and again that it wasn't her fault. He knew the weight of that feeling, as those were the very words he had wanted to hear when his grandmother passed away. He didn't want to feel the loneliness of being left behind again, so he tried to ease Nara's pain. While he was comforting her, a distant memory came to his mind, that of a beastly man curious to know why someone named Pongbak was looking for Lee Nara. He reaffirms his promise to protect Nara no matter what happens. He will not let Pongbak or anyone else hurt her. To keep his promise, he is willing to do anything, even transform into a beast and sacrifice his humanity. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the boy on the throne believes he has won and escaped. Suddenly, he finds himself in an empty city and wonders where he is. Shortly after, he finds an arsenal of weapons and a sign that promises a job to the winner of a new competition. He's shocked to realize that he will have to go through all that again, and crying collapses to the ground because that was not the deal. At the same time, Gam, the leader of the Ratmen, starts feeling very unwell physically. He's furious with the wolf who destroyed his hideout and nearly killed him. Game asks who invited the wolf to the game, but everyone denies it. One of them remains silent, and the boss assumes it was him, starting to eliminate the Ratmen one by one. It is at this moment that the traitor reveals himself. It was the wicked fox in disguise all along. He admits that he was the one who put the boy in the game. The fox explains that he can barely control his transformation and cannot take any risks, so the wolf will serve as a temporary obstacle. He hopes that the hunter's offspring will survive until he regains his strength. Far away, Pongbak is in a ruined place surrounded by bodies in darkness. A giant spirit, the god of calamity, demands that Pongbak fulfill his promise and open the passage. If he does so, the god promises to turn the land of Dangun into a living hell. Pongbak agrees, saying that no matter how much he saves humans, they never change. Because of their greed, they become insects not worth saving. He declares that he will cleanse the land and start afresh, becoming the Dangun of a new world. For this, he needs to gather more Eongwis, the evil spirits. But all of this was just a prophetic dream of the matriarch of the beast family. Looking out the window, she realizes that a spirit showed her this vision. The crow spirit appears and asks her to stop Pongbak. He reveals that the villain is gathering the souls of living humans to summon the god of calamity. The woman is shocked and wonders how he can do something so terrible. The scene shifts to a bus where we see Hong Sunbae, the middle son of the beast family. Some girls on the bus notice how handsome he is, and one of them keeps staring at him. Sunbae notices it and gets annoyed, but not at her. He is angry with the Eongwi, a deformed slime creature inside the vehicle. Suddenly, other evil spirits board the nearby vehicles. Another bus crashes violently into his, throwing people around and causing a chaotic accident. Hong Sunbae is seriously injured in the confusion. The Eongwi see an opportunity to attack, devouring the souls of the victims. Hongdo realizes that someone caused this on purpose to harvest souls. A mysterious woman watches the scene and encourages the spirits to devour as much as they want. After all, the souls of living humans are everywhere, na? Amidst the wreckage, Hongdo has a flashback of his past in a cold pigsty, wishing it was just a dream. He wakes up when a young woman helps him, relieved that he is alive. She tells him that she called emergency services but no one is doing anything. Hongdo gets up and realizes that he can move. He sees an Eongwi devouring souls and warns the girl that the place is dangerous and they need to get out of there. He helps the girl, who has an injured leg, to stand up. At that moment, one of the evil spirits rips his soul out of his body. The girl's soul is terrified, about to be devoured by the monster. But before the creature can attack, Hong Sunbae creates a barrier of energy with his aura of beauty, saving her life. Then he creates two more barriers that crush and make the monster explode. Now in the spiritual realm, the girl realizes that there are many other monsters around. A huge slimy creature attacks them, but Hongdo slices it in half with another barrier. He saves the girl once again from another attack, annoyed that such ugly beings dare to cause trouble in his presence. Panicking, the girl asks if she is dead or if all this is just a dream. Hongdo places a hand on her head and calms her, saying that it is just a dream. Then he pushes her soul back into her body. He tells her to see it as a nightmare that will soon pass. This phase triggers a memory in the girl. Her brother had told her the same thing in the past about a nightmare that would pass, but it was something she could never forget. Hongdo gets off the bus, telling her to wait inside, as the streets are full of monsters. Outside, he comes across something even more terrifying, the woman who summoned the Yonghuis. She notices that he is special for having survived the accident. She mocks him, saying that she will find out his reasons before he dies, as she enjoys devouring her prey. Hongdo feels the immense power of the woman and realizes that he has no chance of defeating her, so he starts thinking about how to escape. The woman, however, says that she hates losing her prey and tells Hongdo not to run away. She warns him that if she gets angry, all the humans around will die. At that moment, several black claws, they emerge from her back, revealing her true nature. Hongdo is surprised by her boldness to show herself in broad daylight and the threat, saying that the hunters will come after her. But the woman just smiles, saying she would be happy if they came, as it would save her the trouble of hunting them down. That's when she reveals the trap. Everyone is already caught in her giant web. Immediately afterwards, a large hole appears in the ground and an earthquake begins to shake everything. The cars are swallowed up by the crater that opens up quickly. Inside a bus, the girl and other people are also dragged into the abyss. Hongdo tries to hold on, but the force is too much and he too is pulled in. The few people who manage to stay on the surface look down into the hole, which seems to have no bottom. In an instant, all the humans who were in the area of the spiderweb had disappeared. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Kim Hyana's situation was desperate. The fragments of her soul that Linara had managed to bring were fading away, and her condition in the hospital was only getting worse. The doctors had already warned her mother to prepare for the worst. However, the truth was that Hyuna was still alive, trapped in Gayan's mind and tormented by terrible nightmares. Aware of this, Linara was filled with determination, promising herself that she would rescue her friend no matter the cost. News of the disaster spread quickly. The newspapers reported that a giant crater had appeared at an intersection at 9 in the morning, swallowing up 92 citizens. Chaos had broken out at the scene. Desperate families searched for their relatives while the fire brigade began a rescue operation. They descended with ropes and torches, but the depth of the hole already suggested the worst. Upon reaching the bottom at a depth of 102 meters, the rescue team found something even stranger. The place was completely empty. There were no bodies, no cars, nothing at all. The only things they found were cobwebs and a structure that looked like an ancient temple. Far away, the protagonist's family of hunters was discussing the situation. The matriarch, leader of the group, believed that the great chaos was finally beginning. When Namkyubu appeared, she suggested that he take some rest, but he was worried about leaving the family alone. The matriarch, with her usual arrogance, assured him that she was the strongest. The protagonist, however, stepped forward and declared that she also wanted to go. Her motivation was clear. She needed to help Kim Hyuna and did not want to regret not trying. Seeing her determination, her mother let her go, and Nam Kyunwoo decided to join as well. The matriarch promised to pay the students well for their work. Back at the crater, the fire brigade team, still confused, was caught off guard. People started coming down bringing portable toilets with them. From one of them, a man in a suit stepped out, introducing himself as a member of the National Intelligence Service, Division 4. He ordered the immediate evacuation of the firefighters, claiming there was a risk of a gas explosion. In reality, they were a special phenomena team, a secret department that investigates the paranormal. The leader, Gongcha, gave the order, and soon the hunter teams emerged from the portable toilets. First, the team with our heroes. Then, the ghost team and the exorcism team. The tension between the groups was immediate, especially between the matriarch and the leader of the others, who exchanged insults as soon as they saw each other. Gongcha ignored the provocations and got straight to the point. The mission was to capture the spider responsible for the disaster. It had also caused the derailment in which there were 70 victims. The reward for the creature was 1,002,000, and the hunter or team that defeated it would get all the money. The leader of the team quickly showed her interest in the reward, much to the displeasure of the exorcists, who found her attitude vulgar with so many lives at stake. Without wasting any time, the teams entered the portal to the spider's lair. The protagonist found it strange how everyone was entering without hesitation or showing any fear. Namkyu asked her if she was ready, and after she confirmed, both of them entered last. On the other side, the scene changed drastically. It was a dark cave full of cobwebs and bodies hanging from the ceiling. One of the corpses was so old that it seemed to be from the Joseon dynasty, showing that the spider had been active for centuries. An exorcist mocked the students, saying they could go back if they wanted to live. Linara replied with a dark joke. She saw the shadow of death on his face, which startled him. They realized that the creature had been clever, disguising its hunts as accidents so as not to be discovered. While a Buddhist was praying for the dead, a priest noticed that the corpses still had gold on them, a wealth they could not take to the afterlife. Despite the solemn moment, the priest could not resist the temptation and took a gold chain from one of the bodies. He tried to justify the theft by saying he would use the money for a good cause and quoted Jesus to ease his conscience. But at that very moment, a giant creature appeared out of nowhere, startling everyone. The monster grabbed Father Choi by the neck and devoured him in front of the group. Just when everyone thought it was the end for them, something incredible happened. The priest prayed from inside the monster and made it explode, coming out unharmed. Linara realized that he had used a divine power to save himself, and the matriarch was left impressed by his faith. The priest revealed that he had been expecting a trap like this. With the threat exposed, the three groups got ready. The leader of them saw this as a chance to get ahead, while the others were busy dealing with the horde of monsters that was appearing. The masked man, meanwhile, warned the students to stay away and took out some talismans, which annoyed Namankyuvu. The fight began as the creatures charged. The Buddhist monk acted first, creating a mandala on the ground that generated a protective sphere. Meanwhile, Father Choi activated his power, making two red crosses glow in his hands and striking the monsters with his sacred fists. Then, an older archer asked the priest to step aside and shot a flaming annihilation arrow, taking out several creatures. To finish things off, the masked man threw his talismans, which exploded like bombs in sequence, causing massive destruction. Despite their efforts, Father Choi admitted he couldn't keep up the pace. The situation worsened when the monsters broke through the monk's protective circle. The shield was giving way and the students started to panic. The teacher warned that her guardian deity was taking time to appear, and desperate, she shouted that she needed more time. Just when everything seemed lost, Nam Kyangbu stepped in, his body covered in lightning. He decided it was time to show his true power. The wolf had to emerge. With a fist shining in the darkness, he charges in fearlessly and uses his Thunderwolf technique. A wolf made of lightning forms and attacks the monsters, electrocuting them. Within seconds, an explosion of destructive energy wipes out the remaining creatures, leaving the hunters stunned by the young man's power. In the midst of the surprise, Linara tries to help but makes a mistake. She fires a spectral arrow that, instead of hitting a monster, goes straight towards Namkyungbu. He calls her inexperienced, which offends her. He realized that he had stood out too much, exactly what his mother had warned him about. If the hunters discovered his true nature, they would be hunted. A hunter's arrow chases after evil energy, that's why it hit him. On seeing his hand, which was turning into the shape of a wolf, he understands what happened. He was already prepared for this possibility. He bears the pain, hides his hand and says that he's fine. With the area cleared, the teacher suggests that the spider's lair should be a game to see who defeats it first. The matriarch gets worried, saying that her son is the weakest one there, but Kim Woryong boasts about being stronger and more famous. The teacher declares that they must act separately. That's when they realize that Jang Sang's ghost team has already gone ahead, probably to keep the treasure for themselves, which makes Orang furious. Meanwhile, Jang Sang's ghost team is already further ahead. With binoculars, they spot the spider's warehouse. Inside, there are people trapped in cocoons, intoxicated by a poison that keeps them in happy dreams. Their objective is not the spider, but a girl valued at 6 million and 1, 5 times more than the reward for the creature. Jung Sung Bae wants to rescue her for a mysterious client. While they wonder who would pay so much for a girl, the spider emerges behind them. The spider attacks ferociously, destroying the carriage with its fangs. The two hunters run and fire their heavy weapons loaded with talisman bullets. The shots have no effect. The creature catches up and annihilates the hunterkin. Before dying, Kim throws a spectral energy grenade. The explosion injures the spider and throws his companion Jang Sung Bae to safety. Furious, Chang sees the creature's true form, a woman emerging from a giant skull. She mocks, saying that his companion was weak and that the warriors of old who fought with swords knew better. Jung Sangbae pulls out a knife, pretending to engage in hand-to-hand combat, which seems to please the spider, but it was just a trick. He presses a button on his radio, activating a trap. Two panels emit energy and form a large explosive talisman on the ground beneath her. As the trap explodes, he fires continuously. The creature survives and counterattacks, piercing Chang with the fangs of the skull. Disappointed, she says that he only knows how to use tricks. Chang, defeated, warns her that his companions will come after her. The Spider-Woman replies that she knows and has left the door open since she finds hunters amusing and tasty. Finally, she drips a liquid on him, telling him to sleep and dream of her. When she touches Jung Sung's forehead, he laughs strangely before falling into a deep sleep. Shortly after, his body is wrapped up and stored in a cocoon. But in another nearby cocoon, Do-sung uses his magic to free himself. He wakes up confused in a filthy place and defeats a small spider that was watching him. That environment reminded him of his terrible past. Since childhood, Hongdo was called a monster, a creature sent by demons to destroy families. To escape the abuse, he ran away to a place that was another kind of hell, a pig slaughterhouse. There he would see the animals screaming as they waited for their turn to die. Hearing those screams, he felt so lost that he didn't know whether he was human or a pig. The day he gave up, a miracle happened. Matriarch Kim found him and asked why he was hiding behind the fence, as if it were a boundary he had created for his life. She made him choose whether to live as a pig or as a human, and he chose to be human. Back in the present, Du wakes up and realizes that he was dragged into the spider's lair after being bitten on the neck. Despite the dream, his mind is now much clearer. He decides that he must get out of there as soon as possible, but the place is dark and full of creatures. While searching for a way out, he sees monsters everywhere, so escaping quietly is not going to be an option. He'd probably have to fight. Meanwhile, the Odangyu team is lost, realizing that everything is just one big pit. They regret not going with the exorcists, thinking that they will lose out on the reward of 1,200,000,000 won. Suddenly, one of them finds Hong Do-sung's bag on the ground. Matriarch Kim is shocked to realize that he is there, and the team decides to look for him. Far away, Hongdo finds a big hole in the wall, thinking it might be an exit. But as he passes through, he is faced with a horrifying scene. Dozens of bodies in cocoons, all in a deep sleep. He quickly realizes that it is not an exit. In fact, it is a food storage. Seeing those people trapped reminds him of pigs in a slaughterhouse. Fear overwhelms him and he keeps telling himself that he has to get out of there now. Just then, he finds the girl he saved on the bus, who quietly asks him for help. Hongdo covers her mouth so that the spider doesn't hear them, but it's too late. The Spider Queen enters the pantry, saying she heard a noise and that her venom wasn't strong enough. She drops Jung Sung's body and asks who is there. Hongdo recognizes her and hides, noticing how gigantic she is. The Spider-Woman complains that the person she ate had no spiritual power, making the taste bland. Still hungry, she decides to feed on the soul of another victim, tearing out the skeleton and devouring only the flesh. Hongdo is terrifying. He knows that if he gets caught, he'll be killed. He cannot face such an enemy and must escape. Suddenly, several skeletons fall behind him, reminding him of his escape from the slaughterhouse and the limit he had set for himself. Just then, the Spider-Woman grabs the 6 billion girl. Seeing this, Hongdo can't take it anymore. Filled with rage, he jumps and gives the creature a powerful punch, shouting at her to stop feeding on humans. His attacks are strong and full of hatred, and for a moment, he thinks the fight is over. However, the monster's shell starts to regenerate and he realizes that she's still alive. The Spider-Woman, irritated, recognizes him as the man who survived the bus accident. She asks him how it is possible that he's still alive even after being struck by her venomous fang. Hando replies that he did not feel any poison and calls her disgusting, which makes her even angrier. Then he challenges her, saying she has 5 seconds to try and defeat him. Thinking that he's just boasting, she attacks with one of her fangs. The blow is so powerful that it instantly shatters Hando's magical barrier, sending him flying. He realizes that if he keeps taking hits like that, his body will be split in two. His only chance is to reduce the size of the barrier by half to double its thickness. The Spider-Woman mocks him, saying his barrier is as fragile as glass, but Hando remains confident. He declares that he will finish the fight within the 5 seconds he promised. Annoyed by the delay, the Spider-Woman demands that he show her something real. The test of strength is over. Handu creates 2 smaller barriers, one on each arm, and starts blocking all her blows. The barriers break with every impact, but that's exactly what he wants. At the perfect moment, he dodges, jumps high into the air, and positions himself at her face level. He distracts her with his aura and manages to trap her head inside a magical barrier, giving her a powerful kick in the stomach. The Spider-Woman uses her fangs to destroy the barrier, but as soon as it breaks, another barrier appears underneath. It was a trap from the very beginning. Hondo reveals that his real plan is to compress the barrier to its limit and turn it into a blade. As soon as the second barrier breaks, he uses his technique, the Soul Guillotine. The barrier transforms into a sharp blade that strikes the Spider-Woman directly, smashing her into the ground. The blow seems to have been effective, but to Hondo's astonishment, she's still alive. With a smile, she asks if his 5 seconds of hope are already over, revealing that his special attack was not enough to cut her. The Spider-Woman keeps mocking him, saying that all the hunters who thought they were special ended up the same way, dead in her graveyard. She promises to hang Hondo's head on her door, but he remains unfazed and calls her an old witch, making her even angrier. She attacks with her fangs, and Hondo manages to dodge using his barriers at high speed, but he can't escape everything. One of the fangs hits his ankle, and shortly after, 2 more claws pierce his arm, leaving him trapped. Cornered, Hondo buzzes and does not give up. He has one last ace up his sleeve and summons another Soul Guillotine, this time with a brilliant move. He creates the sharp barrier under a nearby 1-ton truck. Using the weight of the vehicle, the blade comes down with force and cuts the Spider-Woman's neck. The impact throws Hondo backwards, but his strategy works. The creature is finally defeated. Relieved, he goes to the woman he saved on the bus to wake her up. She wakes up confused and even compliments his looks. But the peace does not last long. Suddenly, the decapitated head of the Spider-Woman sprouts tiny claws and starts moving on its own across the floor. The head returns to its original body and reattaches itself as the monster asks if the girl is his girlfriend. She says she doesn't like handsome men, and Handu replies that he doesn't like girls who use their head as an accessory either. At that moment, a black sludge of evil spirits envelops her body, attaching the head. The Spider-Woman transforms, becoming bigger and more menacing. She attacks with her new claws, and Hondo creates a barrier to protect himself and the girl. The strength of the monster is immense. Its poison claws break through the protection and pierce his shoulder. But instead of screaming, Hondo starts to smile. The poison sends him into a dream, a memory from his past. The vision transports him to the house where he was adopted by a wealthy couple after leaving the orphanage. For a while, everything seemed perfect, and at last he had a family that loved him. Everything changed when the couple had their own biological daughter. From that moment on, Hondo was neglected. He realized that he was no longer needed by them. Everything got worse when his identity was revealed, frightening his family. For 4 terrible years, the couple treated him badly, locking him up in a basement with a chain around his neck. Those were painful days. He suffered from hunger and thirst, and to cope with the loneliness, he would count the specks of dust in the air. The only one who showed him kindness was his little sister Somi, who would sometimes secretly bring him food, even though she would get scolded for it. Until one day, along with the food, Somi left him a key. The boy freed himself and ran away in the rain. He saw a truck full of pigs and thought it would be the perfect hiding place, a spot where he could blend in and conceal his true nature. Fed up with everything, he climbed in among the animals, thinking it would be better to become a pig. The memory of this trauma fills Hondo with rage. The Spider-Woman realizes that her venom does not work, since he has no happy memories to corrupt. Annoyed, she throws him far away with her claws. Hondo feels pain but manages to create a barrier. The monster strikes with a powerful blow that breaks the barrier and pins him to the ground. He takes blows from the creature's 8 legs but refuses to faint. The Spider-Woman asks him if he has understood his place now, but Hondo knew that she was a monster far too powerful for him. Even so, he keeps getting up. He remembers the words of someone who encouraged him to stop hiding. He could live as a human, that's why he decided to fight till the end, even if it cost him his life. The Spider-Woman laughs at his determination and strikes him with a fang right in the middle of his chest. The blow starts to rip out his soul and Hondo goes into shock, but at the last second, Kim appears and lands a powerful punch on the monster, saving him. Furious, she shouts at the creature not to touch the boy. The punch is so strong that the Spider-Woman is thrown to the ground. Shortly after, the rest of the Orangun team arrives to help. The matriarch complains that the monster ruined her son's face and Ondo starts crying with emotion. Lee Nara jokes that it was for the money, but the feeling of family is real. Gi-hun, his elder brother, hugs him and even Nam Gyeonggo is there. Although Nam says he never considered him a brother, Ondo thanks him. He realizes that he has a place. Spider-Woman stands up impressed. She says she has never seen a hunter with such spiritual power. Matriarch Kim thinks it'll about her, but the monster points at Lee Nara. The creature claims that in 800 years it has never seen so much energy and that she must taste delicious, revealing its intention to devour her. Faced with the threat, Nam Kyung-gu steps forward and declares that she will not get past, promising to crush her. The Spider Queen summons a servant, a skeletal knight riding another spider. She explains that he is her 9th husband who betrayed her in the past. With a gesture, she envelops him in dark energy, turning him into a loyal servant and ordering him and the skeletons to capture Lee Nara. The skeletal knight charges forward and Nam Kyung-hoo attacks him with an electric strike. But the blow is not strong and the skeleton counterattacks with a powerful slash of his sword. Matriarch Kim defends herself and shouts at Nav to go after the Spider Queen. Meanwhile, Lee Nara is protected by Han Do-sunbae inside a shield. She uses her pencils to attack the monsters and Sunbae encourages her, assuring her that the shield will not break and asking her to trust him. Seeing the scene, Nam Kyung-woo misunderstands and is filled with jealousy. Angry, he punches the spider minions, shouting at Han Do-sunbae not to take advantage. Unleashing his fury, he takes down dozens of creatures with his electric fists and shouts to Lee Nara that she shouldn't trust Sunbae but him. Enraged, Nam Kyung-woo challenges the Spider Queen. She attacks with a huge claw, but he counters with an electric punch so powerful that a hand loosens and he slams her to the ground. The queen warns him not to think he has won just because he broke her arm. Suddenly, her other arms pierce through Kyung-woo's body, injuring him badly. His family is horrified. But instead of screaming in pain, he smiles and a dark voice echoes, saying that one day he would need the presence of the wolf as the two are one and the same. In front of everyone, Nam Kyung-woo transforms into the Black Wolf. The Spider Queen mocks him, but the wolf smashes her face into the ground with one arm. The impact is so absurd that Han Do-sunbae warns Lee Nara not to go near as it is very dangerous. His family shouts at him to return to his human form, but he does not listen. The queen, irritated, traps him in a cocoon of spiderweb and throws a bus at him. But the werewolf dodges with incredible speed. As he charges again, a train appears and hits him in the air, but it is not enough. Nam, in his monstrous form, breaks the vehicle and continues his pursuit, giving a massive kick to the head. Screaming in pain, the Spider Queen realizes that Kyung-woo is a beast like her. She claims that he shares her darkness, but he interrupts her by piercing her abdomen. The wolf tells her that she's mistaken. She is the prey and he is the predator. Terrified, as she has never been in such a situation, she tries to reason with him, but he tears off her claws as if they were paper and continues to destroy them. In a last-ditch effort, the Spider Queen begs him to spare her life. She speaks of a new world where darkness will reign and he will not have to hide anymore. She mentions Pong back, but the wolf does not let her finish and delivers a final blow, tearing out her essence and feeding on it. Matriarch Kim lunges forward and pushes him, preventing him from absorbing that power. The wolf turns against his mother, who loses strength as she tries to restrain him. While he threatens to attack her, Gi-hun, his elder brother, uses a red shackle spell to bind him. The matriarch gets ready to knock him out, but a flash of light appears when Lee Nara comes close and hugs him from behind. She tells him that the spider has already been defeated and asks him to stop, saying that she knows he did it to protect them and that she trusts him. For a moment, the hug works. He falls to his knees and his consciousness seems to return, but it is only temporary. A moment later, he puts his hand on Lee Nara's neck, saying that she belongs to him. The wolf says that she is just another shiny prey and that no one, neither King Rak nor Pung Bak, can take her away. As the wolf opens his mouth to devour Lee's soul, a countdown ends and an arrow with a talisman strikes his back, causing an explosion. A team of exorcists appears, surprised to find an evil wolf. Finally, they realize that Kyung-woo was always a monster. The master summons her guardian deity, her general spirit, and orders them to eliminate even the creature. But just as everyone was getting ready to attack, Lee Nara steps in and stops them, insisting that he is not a monster but her friend. The priest retorts that he was about to devour her, but the girl replies that he is just going through puberty, leaving everyone confused. Ignoring the argument, an exorcist fires an annihilation arrow. Do Sunbe creates a barrier to protect his brother, asking what they're doing. The wolf breaks through, grabs Lee Nara, and while the guardian deity attacks him, escapes. With the girl in his arms, he climbs the walls and disappears at great speed. His family tries to follow him, but his agility is superhuman. Yihan stays behind, wondering if he could calm his brother down if he managed to catch up with him. While running after his transformed brother, he clings to the hope that Lee Nara, the girl the wolf is carrying, will calm him down. Amidst the confusion, the exorcist team's teacher cannot understand why everyone is protecting such an evil creature. However, the matriarch Kim Oren interrupts and tells them to mind their own business, stating that her family will take care of the wolf. She even threatens them, saying she will eliminate anyone who dares to touch her children again. At that moment, everyone notices that the Odangun team has also captured the giant spider, confirming the rumors that Kim Oren is one of the best. Han Do-sumbi, focused on the reward, goes looking for the spider's head, which is worth the prize. Kim Oren also gets desperate, thinking about the 1,200,000 won she might lose. To everyone's surprise, the severed head of the spider sprouts little legs and tries to escape, proving to be tougher than expected. When someone calls it a cockroach, the head lashes out furiously, but is finished off by Jang Sun, who uses a knife. The matriarch gets furious, accusing the ghost Jang Son of trying to steal her prize. However, he explains that he only wanted to avenge his companion and not act unethically. To prove it, he gives up the reward and hands over the head to Kim Oren. The truth is that Jang Sun has a much bigger goal in mind, the 6 billion for capturing Lee Sumi, daughter of the Kyuhei conglomerate. He wouldn't risk that fortune for just 1,200,000,000. With the spider mission finished, Jang Sun rescues the injured. Han Do-sumbi sees him carrying Lee Sumi, the girl who is worth a fortune. The exorcist master and Kim Oren are surprised, thinking that he has turned into a good person, helping without expecting anything in return. Inspired, the leader of the Dangan family decides to help rescue the survivors, and the exorcist master realizes that she is not only motivated by money. Together, the team frees the people trapped in cocoons of spiderwebs. The leader of the special division is surprised to see a crowd coming out of the portable toilets, confirming that he has gathered the strongest teams. Away from the commotion, the wolf finally ends up alone with Lee Nara inside a metro carriage. She, unafraid, asks him if he is going to devour her. The wolf replies that he will not let anyone else do that to her, but if the time comes, he himself will do it. Unexpectedly, Lee Nara hugs him and says that his fur is soft. Surprised, he asks if she is not afraid, but the girl trusts Nam Kyunwoo, his human form. To scare her, the wolf grabs her by the shoulders and says that he is different from the boy she knows. Lee Nara jokes, asking if this isn't the part where he turns back into a human, like in the stories. The wolf replies that in the stories, this is the moment when the girl gets eaten. Unfazed, she pulls out a ruler imbued with spiritual energy and stabs it into his chest, telling the wolf to disappear and for her friend Nam Kyun-woo to return. The energy is so immense that a bright light bursts out from the metro, forcing a reverse transformation. Gihan sees the light and thinks it's already too late. He bursts into the carriage expecting the worst, only to find his brother already back in human form resting on Lee Nara's lap. On the surface, the situation is already under control. Thanks to the Spider-Woman's venom, most of the witnesses lost their memory of the incident, which made containment easier. Kim Oren is congratulated for her efficiency. The experts explain that the creature was an exotic species from Mongolia brought over during an ancient invasion to weaken the local gods and the spirit of the people. Finally, the Odangan team receives their reward of 1,200 million. Kim Oren dreams of buying luxury clothes, paying the rent, and maybe even getting a flat, bidding farewell to poverty. But Gongcha shows up with bad news. It's time to settle the damages. He deducts 300 million for the destruction of a factory, another 400 million for the damage to the metro, and 200 million more for the special equipment usage fee. In the end, out of the 1,200 million, only 300 million remain. Outraged, she accuses him of being a perif. Far from the financial chaos, Lee Sumi is informed that her father, the chairman, is waiting for her. The girl is surprised as she thought he didn't even know she had run away. Her Dosung approaches and asks her why she ran away and why he protected her so much. He says that this is not the first time they've met and asks her to come back home as her family is worried. As they say goodbye, Lee Sumi recognizes him. He was the brother she used to live with, trapped among the pigs. She feels sad about the wounds caused by her adoptive parents, but happy to see him doing well. Now that they are no longer family, she thinks that perhaps she can love him in a different way. Lee Sumi's words plunge Han Do Sumi into his painful memories, a deep well from which he feels he cannot escape. He remembers the day he met Kim Orin. She found him just after he escaped and asked if he had anywhere to go. With no family or destination, he didn't know what to say. That was when the matriarch asked him if he wanted her to be his mother. This is the memory that gives him the strength to come out of the darkness, for he chooses which memories to carry. While he is reflecting, Kim Oren appears, excited, saying that everything is over and that they can finally go home. On hearing that he has a place to return to, her do feels good. The matriarch hugs him and promises that they will have dinner once they reach home. For the first time, he feels happy to have a real family. The final scene takes us to the president, who is informed about his daughter's arrival. Looking absolutely terrible, Lee Sumi enters the room to meet her father. She comes home, but the atmosphere is extremely tense. Even after surviving an accident and falling into a sinkhole without a scratch, she tells her father that he shouldn't care. In response, the president gives her a hard slap, furious because she ran away and brought shame to the family name. Sumi confronts him, saying that he has changed and is behaving very strangely, especially with her mother being hospitalized for 3 years without any apparent reason. She accuses him of not visiting his wife and not even caring about his daughter, asking him if he knows that her birthday was yesterday. The reaction is even more violent. He slaps Sumi again, and just as he's about to hit her with a stick, a man in a suit stops him. This man is Pongbak, who intervenes, saying that Miss Sumi has already received the message. He advises the girl to behave herself, as her father will do great things for the country and she should not bring him shame. The president reveals that it was thanks to a certain Mr. Kim that they found her and orders her to thank him. Sumi knows that it was because of Pongbak that her life fell apart. Meanwhile, Nam Kyun-woo is taking care of Lee Nara. He applies medicine to the claw marks he left on her neck, feeling terrible about what he did. He explains that his inner wolf was out of control, but his human side offers a sincere apology. Nara forgives him, saying that it was the wolf's fault, not his. But Kyun-woo insists that the wolf is also a part of him and promises that he will not transform like that again. Suddenly, the bandage on her neck falls off. When she puts it back on more firmly, the atmosphere between them changes completely. Nara notices how handsome he is and her heart starts beating faster. He also notices her beauty and both of them slowly move closer to each other. A kiss is about to happen. The door knock comes. It's Nara's mother, who asks why the lights are off. Kyung-woo, panicking, hides under the sheets. Nara lies to her mother. She says she was about to sleep and that the male voice was from a YouTube video. Her mother gets suspicious. She comments that her daughter is acting strange and that the room, which used to be a mess, is now always clean. With a knowing look, she suggests that Nara has a boyfriend. Her daughter denies it. Kyung-woo, still hiding, tickles her by breathing near her belly button. Nara twists around trying not to laugh, but accidentally knees him on the chin, making a loud noise. Her mother asks what that sound was, and Nara, with no other option, pulls off the bedsheet. To everyone's surprise, instead of the boy, there is a huge black wolf on the bed. Kyung-woo feels relieved that he managed to transform just in time to avoid being seen. Nara makes up an excuse. The dog belongs to a classmate. When her mother tries to pet him, the wolf growls again. Nara gives him a little tap on the head to scold him. By mistake, she says his name is Nam Kyun-woo, but quickly corrects herself. The dog's name is Munshti. An ordinary family is out shopping at the market. The father hesitates because of the price of a toy his son asks for and offers him a smaller one instead. The boy understands the situation without needing any explanation. At that moment, the man hears a voice. The spirit of his father appears, whispers some numbers to him and tells him not to forget them. It was a dream. The man wakes up in a panic and tells his wife that his father appeared to him with some numbers. Only then does he realize. They were lottery numbers, yeah. At school, the spirits talk about what happened. Mr. Kim decides to show his friends his ability to move physical objects. He concentrates with all his might, but the can does not move. After much effort, he shouts and the can finally moves. The ghosts are stunned. It is the poltergeist phenomenon, moving real objects with spiritual force. Even if you're not alive, the more you practice, the more you can do. Mr. Kim has a plan to alter the lottery numbers with his power and help his son. The effort is tremendous. Using the power means reaching the limit of exhaustion. The ghost encourages him to think of his son so that he does not give up. Kim puts in all his effort and the spirits around him cheer him on to continue. Nara noticed that the school was more restless because of the ghosts. She looks at him with a smile, touched by Mr. Kim's love for his son. She was sure he was a good father, but Kim surprises her. He admits that he did not treat his son well when he was alive. He says that children notice everything, whether it's wealth or poverty, and that the day at the market was the child's birthday. The boy had asked for an expensive toy gun, and his father told him that he would use real guns when he joined the army. His son got upset. Kim wanted to raise a son in a normal way, even with little money, but he never imagined that living a normal life could be so difficult. Nara shouts at him to have courage and touches his hand, transferring spiritual energy to him. Kim lights up, grows, and looks like he could move a mountain. The wolf watches and recognizes what Nara did. She shared her own energy. The live broadcast of the lottery draw begins. Kim thanks Nara and passes through the walls to get closer to the machine. While the drum spins, he puts his hand in to alter the result. This time, he'll do something for his son. But a giant ghost in samurai armor appears out of nowhere and pushes Kim away. The warrior spirit demands to know if Kim served in the army for his country. All around him, dozens of military ghosts are waiting. The general declares that it is time for their descendants to be rewarded. Younger spirits join the discussion, wanting their own ancestors to help their descendants as well. The conversation goes nowhere and the ghosts start fighting each other. Kim watches that chaotic fight and does not back down. He has come too far for that. He paid his taxes. He was an honest citizen and feels that he has as much right as anyone else. He moves towards the machine while the numbers are being drawn live. At home, the wife looks at her husband and says that not a single number matched. He sighs, thinking that his father is still the same as when he was alive. The son remembers his father's big promises that one day he would buy him whatever he wanted. On rain-free days, when the workers rested, his father would drink alone, his face dark and closed off, emptying bottle after bottle. The boy always found that strange. The wife points at the numbers and says that her father-in-law really did think about her husband. The numbers are his date of birth, month and year. When the man looks at the last digits, he realizes that it is the exact time he was born. An image comes to his mind, his father and mother holding a baby in their arms. The wife thinks it's incredible that her father-in-law appeared as a ghost to help them. The husband remembers something else. His father buying him a small toy gun when he was a child. At that time, the boy was excited and told his father that he was the best in the world. Now, as an adult, he cries. He only wishes that Mr. Kim would appear more often in his dreams. That alone would be enough to ease the longing. Meanwhile, Kim's spirit was being beaten up by the other ghosts. The lunchbox ghost told him to eat more and train harder. When they asked him why he chose those numbers, Kim kept it simple. It was the day his son was born. Elsewhere, a man deposits 6,000 and 1,000 off the company books. The one who receives it gets excited and promises to deliver the service, cursing someone at the client's request. All confidential, matters between families. The grey-haired man who was leading the meeting heard muffled sounds from the next room. It was the suffering of a young girl. Jung-sen did not care. 6,000 was enough to change everything. The client is Lee Sing-dok, chairman of the Koge Group, the second largest company in the country, which he built himself. A powerful name, fortune, and the leading presidential candidate. The lift opens into a dark corridor. The enemy stands before Jang's son. With no time to react, the man moves forward and slams him against the wall. Jang-sen cannot believe it. A spider like him losing to a hunter. The enemy drains his life force. Jang-sen screams. A sword slices through the air. The great samurai appears, cuts off Pungbak's hand and saves Jang-san. Lady Choi had been following him all along. She knew that Jang-san would not let go of the reward of 1,200,000 for the spider. Suspecting that he would act alone, she followed him. The enemy's dark aura covers the building. The exorcist asks if Pungbak was conspiring and who that man with the dark energy is. Jang-san does not bow. The man appeared before him. The enemy creates monstrous hands and attacks them. Jang-san is caught, but Lady Choi frees him, telling him to run away while she holds off the villain. Then a claw strikes the grey-haired man in the chest. Jungsan falls, defeated. The villain jumps and strikes the exorcist. Choi takes the blow. Too late, she used a counter curse on the master. Yonkwai's hands sprout firmer. The black tentacles spread out, come out of the car and destroy everything. Pongbak empowers the vehicle and finds his targets. Seeing the villain, despair overwhelms them and he controls the ghostly hands to capture them. Everyone is immobilized and in pain while Bak finishes them off. That's when the ghost appears. He interrupts the villain, grabs him by the neck and throws him against the wall. The black hands attack the ghost, who falls, but Choi still has one more trick up his sleeve. Surprising the enemy, he activates self-immolation and the ghost explodes. The spiritual flames spread out in an explosion. The enemy survives, rebuilds his body and pushes the hunters aside. On observing, he notices that the heroes have escaped, all except Choi, who sacrificed herself to clear the way. Bak decides that the heroine will have a proper funeral. A man sees a woman running down the street. He considers himself a bard. He has already claimed 9 lives and every victim begged for mercy. That turned him into a deity, an addict to killing. When he was about to claim his 10th victim, something went wrong. A car hit him head-on. At school, an irritated teacher wakes Seok-yu up in class. Seok-yu tells the teacher to mind his own business and just teach. He asks his classmate to wake him up when the class is over. He thinks he is untouchable because he doesn't back down before the teacher. He looks around, students and teachers are uneasy. He feels that no one can stop him. He's a predator in the school jungle until someone hits him. It's Nam Kyung-woo. The contact enrages Seok-yu and he's ready to fight. But Nam doesn't recognize him, he doesn't know who he is. The bully can't believe it. He thinks the boy is mocking him and tells him to follow so he can learn who he's dealing with. But at that moment, Seok-yu stops breathing. Instead of Nam, he sees a fierce wolf. Fear takes over him when Kyung-woo tells him to let go of his neck. The students notice the tension and gather around recording everything. Seok-yu knows he'll be humiliated if he backs down, so he hits him. Nam dodges and counteracts, knocking the bully out. He almost goes overboard with his rage. When Lee Nara appears, Nam lies without batting an iron. He says he wasn't fighting, that Seok-yu fainted from exhaustion. The ghost of the teacher appears. There is an Ankwai in the school and he needs his help. The students get worried about the fallen bully, who doesn't respond. Seok-yu wakes up at a strange bus stop. A boy is writing numbers on the ground. He asks where they are but gets no reply. The boy tells him to keep quiet and wait. The bus will come. Annoyed by the rudeness, Seok-yu threatens to hit him. When he touches him, the number 9 appears on the ground and freezes. At the school, the ghost of the teacher shows what he found, a 10 of negative energy marked in the school. Nam had never seen a Yonkwai leave a mark like that before. It was not an ordinary spirit. In the spirit world, the boy asks Seok-yu if he has killed. He does not answer, looking confused. The boy reveals his true form. The spirit had already possessed the bully's body. Seok-yu wakes up at the school with foreign thoughts, memories of murders, and the cold indifference of someone who has already been killed. The young Kui, now with a physical body, can touch and is searching for his next victim. The spirit reveals that Seok-yu already had the desire to kill, which made the possession easier. And satisfied, he declares that the next victims will be even easier. Walking through the corridors, he evaluates the students. Who will be the prey? In maths class, Seok-yu surprises everyone by answering an equation without any hesitation. No one expected it, but it makes sense. The spirit inhabiting him is an experienced murderer from Seoul, clever enough to evade the police for years. He finds cigarettes in the boy's pocket and crushes them. Bad for health and worse, they leave behind DNA. He throws them away without a second thought. He also starts exercising, pushing his body to the limit. The football mates get excited seeing the bully in good shape. Nam and Lee Nara go to Hongdo to talk about the problem. She receives the news with irritation. She knows they will ask her for help to catch the Yongkui. She heard the Virgin Ghost asking for protection and believes the situation will be sorted out. Without knowing where the Yongkui is, catching it would be impossible. Nara is worried. If the spirit acts, someone could get hurt. At that moment, the Yongkui moves through the school, sizing up each student, choosing who will live and who will die. He feels like a god. Dopamine floods Seok-yu's head as he excitedly looks for his 10th victim. He finds a girl who radiates intense spiritual energy. She is the brightest gem he has ever seen. Perfect. He takes out the cutter and approaches ready to attack. The girl turns around. It is Lee Nara, her spiritual aura at full strength. The Yonkwei finds her even more perfect. Before he can act, Nara uses the ruler and rips the spirit out of the body. The monster steps back, stunned, not understanding who she is. Nam appears from behind and punches the bully. None calls the spirit weak as it tries to run away. He can't understand how people like this exist in a normal school. Nam doesn't let him escape. He comes closer with an electrifying punch and lands it. For the first time, the Yonqui understands what it means to be hunted. The trio realizes that the spirit was small and weak. Even so, it threatens to eliminate them. Nara responds with a flap and crushes it. The Yonqui dissolves. The body belonged to Kim Seok-gu and now it is free. The boy's soul returns to the bus stop. A bus full of spirits stops in front of him. Seok-gu hesitates but decides to get on. The school ghosts stop him. He's still alive. He cannot get on. Seok-gu steps back, frightened upon seeing the spirits. He falls to the ground. The ghost of the teacher looks at him and speaks clearly. If he wants to stay alive, he must follow them. Terrified, the bully breaks down and swears that he will change his life. He wakes up in the hospital thinking that it was all just a dream. The teachers congratulate him for quitting smoking and for studying so much. Seok-gu does not know what to make of it. The confusion only gets worse when the football team invites him to play. He always liked being feared, seeing people move aside as he walked by, but being looked at like this is not as bad as he thought. Nara put herself at risk as bait, but she saved the school and Seok-gu. Lee trusted Kyung-gu, believing that he would protect her. Naman hears this and does not know where to look. The next scene is Tunnel 3 in Pocheon, a suburban tunnel project in Gyeonggi-do. The name going around is Baek or Kim Yong-taek, which is the pseudonym. No one knows who he is, but they say he has the absolute trust of President Lee Sing-dayok. The sinkhole accident and the derailment at Nakwang station bear his mark. The political situation is a mess. Lee Sing-dayok's rival is Park Kwang, head of a large conglomerate and a presidential candidate. Both are locked in fierce competition. And since the incidents, Park's approval ratings have dropped. There are suspicions that Lee is behind everything, that the spider caused the derailment and the sinkhole to benefit him. There is no solid evidence, but the suspicions remain, and the path to the precedence is opening up further for Lee. Finding out what their planning is the top priority for Division 4. But the mission gets off to a bad start. A guard at the site, who is a spirit, warns them that they cannot park there. Before they can react, the claw of an excavator strikes their car. The machine is also under the control of an evil spirit, and the blow is so strong that it sends the vehicle tumbling down the slope. The car overturns. The spirits celebrate, satisfied. Hours later, the survivors from Division 4 crawl through the forest trying to get out of the hole. They come across someone calling for help, who turns out to be an Onkwi. The only survivor still standing goes into shock and is eliminated. The trio arrives at a metro station on their way to Sangshan. Lee Nara dozes off and ends up leaning onto Nam Kyang-gu's shoulder. He freezes, not knowing what to do. Now they are working part-time. Their destination is Line 2, wherein Yong-kui appears. Hondo complains about waiting and wants to hunt the spirit. Nam, on his part, notices that Nara's hair smells really nice. Hondo sees everything and makes a face of disgust. Their commotion wakes the gun up. Just then, the Yong-kui at the station appears and enters the carriage. The trio gets ready to face it. The monster opens its mouth and says that a new world is about to open. The three of them don't understand what it means, but Nora hesitates. She had already heard something like that before. She remembers the spider saying that darkness would reign over humans. It was almost the same phrase. Nam doesn't remember that moment, but Nara is sure about it. The spirit mentions a dog and a pig, as if it knows the siblings. Hondo and Nam remain motionless, shocked and furious. They charge at the monster without thinking, instantly paying the price for being called by their animal forms. In the end, it is Nara who finishes the fight. She uses the charged ruler to cut the monster in two. From it emerges an absurd figure wearing sunglasses and a suit. The three of them just stare at it. The rabbit sighs and says he thought he was gonna die. The rabbit looks at his watch and warns that the time is dangerous. They're running late. Without wasting a second, he runs to the metro door and sticks a talisman on the surface. The symbol activates, opening a portal shaped like a rabbit hole, and the rabbit goes through it. Nara finds the creature incredibly cute. The cute rabbit, for his part, warns that the team leader, Gongcha, is in danger and needs to be rescued right now. Nara reminds the group that Gongcha is an agent of the National Intelligence Service. Sunbei peeks into the portal, trying to figure out where it leads, but the rabbit doesn't give them any time. He pushes all three of them inside, begging them to save the leader. The fall is long. They fall through the tunnel, pass by a section marked as punch number 3, and keep falling, having no idea why this rabbit hole is so deep, until their backs hit the ground, and when they look up, they see a Korean flag. Nam Kyung-woo wakes up inside a trench. All around him, ghost soldiers are under attack. Ondo wakes up in the same situation, but on the opposite side. When the two realize what's happening, they understand. They are in the middle of a clash between the two Koreas, and each brother has landed on a different side of the trenches. On Nam's side, a soldier is dragged close to him. The man is no rookie and says with relief that he's glad only one has come. Nam remembers the rabbit and tries to ask if the ghosts know Gongcha. The soldiers completely ignore him. For them, this is a real battlefield where lives are at stake. Nam looks around and realizes that they are inside an underground construction site, a metro station under construction. On the other side of the corridor, there's a North Korean flag. The ghosts are recreating the war inside the construction site as if the place were an actual hill. Before Nam can process it, a soldier puts a helmet on him, hands him a rifle, and orders him to defend the trench. There's no retreat or negotiation. They will hold that position at any cost. Nam realizes that they do not know they are dead. A soldier shows him a photo of his wife, his lucky charm. He says he'll have a baby in autumn and gets emotional thinking whether it will be a boy or a girl, what name they'll give. The woman in the photo looks older than Nam and is smiling. Nam looks at the picture and feels the weight of what he knows. This man died without seeing his child being born. It's a sad ending that is approaching him, and the soldier has no idea. Nam swallows the truth and congratulates the soldier on his wife and the baby. The ghost thanks him with a smile and says they'll meet alive. The platoon captain shouts that this is the turning point. They will fight for their country. They will not lose that hill. A bomb falls behind them. Some ghosts fade away with the explosion. Nam freezes upon seeing them disappear. It still affects him even though he knows what they are. The other side advances over the trenches, firing non-stop. Nam's soldiers return fire, but many begin to fall. Driven by the rage of seeing a friend die, a soldier throws a grenade to the other side. On the other side, Wondo shudders when the explosion goes off behind him. It feels all too real. One of the North Korean soldiers shouts something about American imperialists and is shot down instantly. Wondo steps back, genuinely shocked. The ghosts around him are dying in their own way, and it feels real. A South Korean soldier charges down the corridor and takes down the one who had been called a communist. Wondo stops in the middle of the chaos and thinks, why are they still fighting? This war ended decades ago, yaar. The two brothers meet in the middle of the play. They exchange a look and reach the same conclusion at the same time. The ghosts from both sides are trapped in that moment, not knowing that they died, not knowing that the war is over. Before they can do anything, they realize that both platoons have been almost wiped out. One by one, the spirits begin to dissolve into the air. The soldiers repeat the same phrase as before about the new recruits. 2 men, a disappointing number. Nam recognizes the soldier who's in love with the woman, the same one from before. The captain repeats his speech about the lives at stake. Both brothers understand at the same time. This is a cycle, 70 years repeating the same moment again and again. Meanwhile, Lee Nara walks alone in the darkness, searching for both of them. The ground is covered with bones, skeletons, and soldiers' armor arranged around magical circles. Before she can react, the spirit of an evil cat appears from behind and covers her mouth. It holds Nara in place while a soldier passes through the corridor. Spirits and soldiers mock the corpses. Nara understands it. The evil rats control those bodies. The captain of the 4th division says that they play war games with spirits. Nara tells Gongcha that the white rabbit sent her. The general replies that he should have sent Lady Oren, which irritates Nara. Nara barely escaped, hiding herself in a tunnel so as not to get trapped. But Nara says that she knows where they are. She remembers that the Rat King was born during the Korean War. He grew out of humans consumed by hatred and rage. That is what made him what he is. His birthplace is the rat hole, and that is where they are. Nara confirms the conclusion. The Ghost Kingdom manifests and its soldiers repeat their objective to destroy the enemy. He was born there where bombs fell on mountains and fields in flames. 3 years of war, both sides tore each other apart, bodies piled up. In that place, soaked with resentment and unjust deaths, he grew from hatred and rage. Both siblings see that the cycle is starting again and feel its weight. The deadly clash between the sides erupts once more with casualties. Hanru realizes that they are trapped in a loop where they must keep destroying each other endlessly. The whole tunnel throbs with resentment, a hell underground. At the top of the pile of skeletons, the rat king. With time, those souls can no longer carry on the mission. The king needs a hatred that's stronger and more concentrated, something with the intensity of war to become more powerful. That is why he feeds on resentful souls, trapped there. And he thinks it would be very convenient if a real war were to break out. In the lair, his rat soldiers proclaim that they want war. Gongcha is amazed by the souls the monster has gathered. He's captured spirits for decades to create Samlin. Within that mass of souls, Hyuna is trapped. Gongcha wants to capture the Rat King. While both sides continue the old war, the original reason has been forgotten. Only resentment remained, and these souls have been fighting with blind hatred for decades. The brothers find it horrifying. Naman decides to take action. He asks his brother to create a barrier to separate the sides. Sunbae warns that it won't be much, as thin as paper. Even so, he creates the division separating the platoons. The ghosts stop, confused. The brothers recognize the parallel. It is the 30th parallel, the agreement that both sides believe has been achieved. Jin tells the soldiers to stop. He explains to them that they are dead, that it is 2025, and that the war was 70 years ago. The ghosts look around them, the excavators, the surroundings, so different, and reality starts to sink in. The married soldier breaks down in tears. He died without seeing his child being born. Someone asks the boy who won the war. Both sides become restive. Each one wants to hear that it was their own side. The tension rises. Wonder replies with the truth. The war never ended. There was no winner. His brother adds that it was only a ceasefire. North and South are still facing off with increasingly powerful weapons. The soldiers fall silent. 70 years and nothing has changed. The boy apologizes. The ghosts shake their heads. It is not his fault. The fault was theirs for starting everything and dragging children onto the battlefield. The weight falls upon everyone. The soldiers talk about their villages, about their mothers. One says that his mother cried when he was recruited. Others were taken by force. They want to know about their families. They want to go home. Humans and ghosts decide to go together. The spirits leave with a happiness they had not felt in decades until the excavators start up and block the path that separates the groups. There we see the story of the married soldier. The first day he saw her, time stood still. She had her hair in braids. She was the younger sister of a friend, Sunak, and the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. He fell in love instantly, unable to help himself. The world was in chaos because of the division of the Koreas, but by her side, life was bright. She became his wife and everything made sense. In June 1950, the war began. The communists advanced to Seoul and the capital fell in 3 days. He enlisted to protect his country and the woman who cried when they said goodbye. He promised to return. 3 years of battle. By day, gunfire. By night, hand-to-hand combat and complete darkness. Screams, knives. No one knew who was in front of men. In the trench, he held his breath and prayed that no one would come that night, but they always came. In the darkness, fear was suffocating. When he felt someone grab his hair, he struck out without thinking. Blood splattered across his face. Only afterwards did he wonder if it was an enemy or an ally. He never found out. When the bullets hit his helmet and he fell, all he could think about was surviving. He wanted to survive and return to his beloved wife. Now, as a ghost, he sees a light. Nam Ji-hoon ordered everyone to keep moving without stopping. The excavator was about to run over the soldier, but someone saved him. An old enemy. He would have been his opponent. In combat, everything is chaos. Ally or enemy, no one can tell anymore. They joined forces against the nuke threat. The controlled rats appeared to wipe them out. They are evil constructs that keep the soldiers trapped in that cycle. Namjoon gave the order. On seeing the rats, he rushed in before they could reach the ghosts. The blows were brutal and swift. They fell one after another. Filled with rage, Yoon wants to know what those rats are upcome. He channels his spiritual energy and delivers a devastating blow. The rats are taken out one by one until the brother transforms into a pig, leaving the soldiers bewildered. A sound rings out, everyone stops. In the distance, the brothers see an excavator with 2 rabbits. The female rabbit asks if they found the leader Gong Che and tells them to get on. The brothers wait. This place was once a violent battlefield. That's why there are so many spirits here. With the excavator, she locates a cave that was uncovered during construction. During the war, Korean soldiers used it as a guerrilla base. They are investigating reports of ghosts. The rabbits reveal that someone cast a spell on the cave so that the souls couldn't leave. Gongche must be New Bali. That's what the female rabbit thinks. Namkyumbo smelled Linara's lavender scent. He followed the fragrance of his beloved, tracking the trail. Hona's mother sees her daughter's nails growing. She wants her to wake up so she can cut them. She does not give up. Hair and nails are signs of life. She wonders what her daughter is dreaming about. Hyuna's soul is trapped in the Rat King's amalgam. Lee Nara knows this. General Gongchai wants the rat. In the darkness, Nam sees Nara's features. The animals follow Yoon, certain of the route. That floral scent is from the girl he likes, but there is something mixed in, an irritating and unpleasant smell, like nuts. The white rabbits recognize it. It is the smell of Chief Gongching. Suddenly, they find a rat pinned to the wall. Nam immediately recognizes Nara's pencil stuck there. They are on the right track and someone has already found them. Meanwhile, the Rat King uses a soldier as a shield to dodge a blow without taking his eyes off the pencil with the girl's spiritual magic. At that moment, a hole opens up in the Rat King's forehead. He freezes and remembers the girl who already attacked him. He tells her to stop hiding. He wants them to meet again. Every time he sees her, the scar on his heart aches. Nara throws another pencil ekal. He uses another rat as a shield. Irritated, the king asks where she's hiding. The general replies that she hides well in the shadows and that he won't find them. The king realizes that there is someone else with Nara. Hanging on the wall in the shape of a cat, the general tells them he thinks that his aura radiates. The general, still in the form of a cat, warns him not to fall for the provocation. Seeing them exposed, the king hurls a stalactite without watching. They fall from above. Then, the king orders his rats to capture the two intruders. General Gongcha is chased by rats and does not want anyone to know about it. Nara says that no one would believe it. Then she goes after the soldiers, hitting several of them on the forehead with the pencils. They keep coming. Losing patience, the cat announces who he is and attacks with his claws, knocking several down. The king's true form leaps onto him. Nara uses the spiritual slingshot and fires a spectral arrow at the enemy. Then she runs over the cat to get away. The general warns they must fall back, they are at a disadvantage. The king attacks them again, trampling the cat. Nara is sent flying by the impact, crashes into the wall, and the force throws her straight towards some spikes on the ground. Nam Kyung Woo appears at great speed, catches her in his arms before the impact, and lands with her. He says he's overdoing it again, asks if he's alright. The Rat King recognizes the wolf instantly. Last time he lost. Nam asks Ondo to look after Nara while he moves forward. He challenges the king to a fight to the death. The Rat King loves to stir up trouble among wolves. The king accepts. He loves war. Is the general alright? Injured, he replies. He was almost crushed after one. While he tries to recover, captured, he feeds on the wickedness of human souls and has hidden himself in the cave. Nara is in Nam's arms, her heart beating fast. They say it's just a shock, but she knows it's not just that. She thinks about everything that happened, the people running away, the fights, the chaos. Nam wants to fight to the back. The king accepts. He loves war. It's an addiction. But he warns the wolf not to be fooled. They are not ready. He charges at Jangwoo, who blocks the blow. The king starts talking about human wars, the divisions, fights over skin color, over gods, all because of him. Nam Jangwoo doesn't let him finish. He lands a clean punch to the monster's jaw with spectral energy and another spell to the stomach. The Rat King goes flying wounded. His subordinates watch without reacting. Nam calmly says that no human fights for pleasure. A rat that lives in a hole and feeds on hatred wouldn't understand. The king regains his composure and orders his subordinates not to rush, then starts absorbing them. He swallows them one by one and grows stronger. He asks how long the wolf will be able to hold him out. Nam replies that he will stay until he finishes him off. He charges and lands a punch that destroys the monster. The king strikes back. Humans are not ready, yaar. Not him. No, there is no creature more greedy than them. He tries to hit Nam, but Nam dodges him. Nam says he doesn't know why humans fight, but he does know why they risk their lives. To protect those they love, to defend what is precious to them, to shield themselves from monsters like the Rat King. And that is the reason why the king exists. He depends on that to survive. He unleashes the Thunder Wolf technique. The monster is annihilated, but it regenerates. Everyone is left stunned. The subordinates don't stop. Ando and Nara deal with the onslaught. The general and the rabbits join in. The white rabbit warns the leader that this is never ending. Nara remembers the competition for the throne, where everyone fought to survive. She fought the same win. Now she understands that no matter how many rats they eliminate, the hatred will keep growing. It is an endless struggle, the king's objective. The hatred he created and fed is concentrated in that sphere. Nara realizes that it is the core of the king's power. She gets ready and throws a charged pencil at the black sphere. A light pulses on impact, but the pencil bounces off and falls without any effect. Nara does not understand what went wrong and starts fighting again. A rat kicks. Aiming at the core was the right thing to do, but there is no power to destroy it. She stops. That rat knows too much. Before she can ask, it reveals itself. It is her fox. The sphere is the source of both the king's power and his weakness. As long as it exists, he will keep regenerating. Then she says that she is not good at studies or sports. She's an ordinary girl. Nara, stunned, asks, who is this rat that knows so much about her? It replies that it has watched her from within her own body for 17 years, that it loves her more than anyone else, that it is the beast that desires her more than anyone. It was always the fox in disguise in front of her. The pig appears and unleashes a flurry of kicks at the rat soldiers, clearing a path to save Nara. She notices that the fox is not among the fallen bodies. Nara explains to Ondo that the black sphere is Gam's weakness, a mass made of souls. When both of them approach to destroy it, the rat soldiers chase after them. Their desperate reaction confirms that they have found the right target. The beast declares that it will not die and goes after Num again. He dodges and counterattacks with a spectral blow of brutal force but loses control instantly. His right hand transforms, becoming hairy with claws almost unrecognizable. The distraction costs him dearly. Gam takes advantage and sinks his claws into him, pinning Num against the wall. With a sneer, he asks if Num is already tired or if it is the beast inside him that is waking up. Wounded, Num replies that if he were the wolf, Gayam would already be dead. He launches another attack that tears the monster apart, but it regenerates instantly. Num understands the problem. He cannot keep up with the regeneration. He tries to hold back the wolf a little longer without letting it awaken. He uses the beastly arm to strike the Rat King's jaw. Gayam is destroyed and instantly rebuilds himself, saying that Num's blows make no difference. He returns a strong blow to the ribs and declares that the wolf is nothing special. Num becomes more beastly and furious but does not stop attacking. On the other hand, Nara asks Sunbite for a shield. He explains that he cannot use the aura of beauty in pig form and keeps kicking the rats, saying that pigs are not beautiful so the aura does not work. Nara does not agree. Pigs can be beautiful and he should try anyway, but the bigger problem is something else. Nara realizes that neither she nor Sunbite can get close to the black sphere. There are too many soldiers in the way. General Gong and the rabbit girls keep attacking the horde without stopping, but the pressure does not let up. The pig starts getting hit by the soldiers and Nara also ends up captured. Then the shooting begins. Spectral explosions sweep away the rat soldiers one after another. They are the ghosts of the Korean mod. The spectral soldiers have appeared to help, cutting through the horde and annihilating them. Ondo Sumba is left in shock watching the scene. Yonwoo looks at Gayam and says that the war game is over. Frustrated, the Rat King responds by kicking Nam in the stomach, sending him flying. That's when Nara appears by his side. She notices the beastly hand and warns him. Nam knows it's dangerous to have her nearby. After all, he made a promise when they were still children. The granddaughter of his adoptive grandmother used to say that she loved Munshi very much, and he swore to protect her even if she ever turned into a monster. Nara takes his hand and says that they'll do this together, that he is not alone. Nam asks what she's doing and she tries to transfer energy to him in the same way she did earlier with Kim. It doesn't work, she freezes. She gets too nervous about Nam and can't do anything. The fox's words come back to her that she has nothing special, that she always makes mistakes, that in critical moments like this, she falls apart. Everything the fox said about her seems to be proven right then and there, and Nara starts to wonder why she is so ordinary. She shouts that everyone says that. The fox, everyone. Namki Unwu says that it's not true, that she's a remarkable girl, that he lives trapped in his own duality on the thin line between human and beast, but she always treated him without hesitation, as a friend, as a human being. For him, Nara was the most remarkable girl he had ever met. When he says that, something breaks inside her. The energy starts to flow. Nara's spiritual power transfers over, warm and gentle, and it is so intense that everyone in the area can feel it. Namjoon absorbs it all, overflowing with strength. The Rat King watches the scene and understands what is happening. Pong Bak wants that power, the ability to transfer spiritual energy to others. That's why he tries to consume Nara's ability. Nam declares that he will annihilate the Rat King and protect the girl, but Nara doesn't want to be left out. They will attack together. Naman is about to burst from all the energy he has accumulated. When the Rat King charges menacingly, Nara throws the pencil at him. At the same time, Nam delivers a devastating blow with his beast arm, unleashing the electric wolf. Both attacks hit at the same time. Ghaim is destroyed by the impact and regenerates instantly. He warns that he can do this infinitely, but Nara's pencil was not aimed at him. It went past him and struck the evil scare. The lightning wolf follows the same path and destroys it. The black soul orb disintegrates forever. The Rat King has nowhere to return to. Endosombe watches everything with pride. The evil fox spirit also sees the scene and comments almost admiringly that they did a good job. Pin Dangun eliminates the Rat King and his subordinates. As he fades away, Game's voice still echoes. Those who are born as prey live like this, always fearing to be devoured, barely surviving the insects. Those trapped underground during the wars were a gift from the gods, food for rats like him. He did not want to rot in the darkness for the rest of his existence. He wanted to be king in this human world. He survived so many wars because he loved Brim. General Gong, in the form of a cat, grabs the rat and tells him to wake up from that illusion. His desired world will never become reality. The Rat King tries one last move. He turns to the two 18-year-olds and says that in 4 years they'll be drafted. The war is not gonna end out of no way. Korea will not suddenly become unified. Military service is compulsory. Humans have been fighting for 70 years and the youth will keep dying. General Gong does not let him finish. He opens his mouth and devours Gan. He remarks that it would be a problem if the smooth talk of a rat were to influence them. The team exits through Tunnel 3 of Pochiwan. The spirits trapped by 70 years of war are set free, but as they escape, they realize that their country is still divided. They came out of hell and everything remains the same. They wonder if flowers will ever grow on this land scarred by bombs. Others believe that their villages should remain barren mountains. Others say that their deaths were in vain, that they did not protect anyone. General Gong tells them that is nonsense and points out an entire city to them, alive, bustling, prosperous and full of spirit. The spirits fall silent, amazed by what now exists where once there was only war. Gong says that wherever they look, Korea will shine like the capital. This is the country they protected for 70 years and the soldiers are moved to see that it was worth it. The soldiers from the north fall silent for a moment. They too believe that their leader had built a paradise for the people just like in the south. Nara asks one of them to share how things have been in the north. Gong answers first, cautiously. The north is very different from the south and they should not be surprised by what they will find. The soldiers from the north decide to return to their home. They have fought too much, it is time to say goodbye. They shake hands with the soldiers from the south and invite them to Mount Bagdu. The South Koreans reply that the visit is always welcome. They live above and below the same line, but they will coexist all the same. The group of protagonists bids farewell to the spirits, bringing the journey to an end. 2 days later, the tunnel made the news. The construction site was covered and the discovery of dozens of bodies of soldiers from the Korean War was reported. A press conference was called with the president of the QG group, Lee Sing-duk. He announced that the construction company would suspend its projects and support the Ministry of Defense in the excavation. When asked if he had hidden the discovery to avoid losing the contract worth 160 billion won, Lee did not respond. General Gongcha watched everything with satisfaction. Lee Sung-duk's mask was finally falling off. The excavation team worked to recover the bodies. Those in charge were surprised at how well preserved they were. In the pocket of one soldier, they found a photo of a woman and a note from Seung-hyuk asking her husband to return safely. During the work, they discovered that 16% of the soldiers were 20 years old. The deaths in the Korean War exceeded 100,000. The girl looks up at the sky and thinks that even though the physical world is divided, up above everything seems united. She wonders if the spirits can travel freely to Mount Bagdu. She hopes they can and feels envious of their freedom. Now they are free to go wherever they wish. Nam finds her waiting. He arrives late, but he says it's alright. For her, he would wait as long as it takes. The girl feels nervous. She remembers what a soldier said about waiting 70 years for someone who is truly worth it. The soldier finds his beloved almost a century later. He tells her that she's still beautiful despite the years, just as beautiful as when she walked into that office all those years ago, in the face of the fear of battle and the pain of separation he endured by thinking of her. Now he tells Suna that he has returned. She weeps. She says that she always waited for him and did her best. She gathered clams from the sea of Jeju to raise a son. She sold rice in the market. She did everything. The family grew and the celebrations became very lively. Now, at last, they will go home together. The spirit places a hand on his shoulder. There's a ceremony for the soldiers who fell in the Korean War. They are greeted by the army and General Gang Choi. A tribute to the wife who waited for a husband, to the mother who waited for a daughter in the hospital. Yuna wakes up from the coma, leaving her mother in tears. Unexplainable miracles happen every day, and human willpower makes them possible. Nara buys flowers. She will visit someone in the hospital. Kyungo asks if Yuna will recognize her. She says it doesn't matter. If not, they'll get to know each other from scratch. This time, she will be the one to approach first. She's sure that they will become close friends again. In the bathroom, the trio brushes their teeth. Her friends notice that someone hasn't left Nara's mind for days. They get curious if it's something romantic. She says no. When they ask her if it's a crush, Nam Kyung-woo's face pops up in her mind. Her heart starts racing. She gets nervous around him, a feeling she's never had before and can't quite name. Her friends get intrigued when he calls her. Her friends already suspect it's Nam Kyung-woo. They've seen them together several times and it's obvious. Nara denies it, but they point out a scene in front of them. Many girls surround Kyung-woo sticking close to him and he doesn't react. Nara knows he doesn't care about them, but she feels a jealousy she can't ignore. It seems like he accepts the attention. Actually, he doesn't even enjoy it. He's just there, indifferent. Her friends give her some advice. If she wants to go out with him, she should give it a try, But Nara thinks he'll never love her like that. Their relationship is undefined and she knows all the girls have their eyes on him. They see her as someone who's taking advantage. She feels depressed and asks him to go on without her. It starts to rain. None of them brought an umbrella, or at least it seems that way, because Nam has one but doesn't take it out. Instead, he takes her by the hand and says they should run. They run in the rain, and Nara likes how the distance between them disappears when he holds her hand. Their relationship is undefined, but it's neither tense nor uncomfortable. And for now, that's enough. The rain gets heavier. They stop under an awning to wait, and he slowly lets go of her hand. Both of them are soaked. Socks, shoes, clothes, everything is wet. Even so, being in the rain with him is not so bad. Namam casually pulls her closer by the shoulder as if it were the most natural thing. Nara takes it as a sign that he doesn't mind being close. She asks him what he's thinking. He says something trivial about lunch at school. She melts at his simple and straightforward way of speaking. Then she notices that his clothes are just as wet as hers. Nara notices that he's still getting wet and pulls him closer. Nam laughs. He says his shoulders are too broad and there's nothing to be done about it. But she pulls him even closer. Then, in a quick moment, she grabs him by the shirt. Suddenly, he's standing in front of her and she's pressed against the door. The position is too obvious to ignore, yaar. She blushes. He does too. Kyungwoo's face is very close and her heart doesn't know what to do. She murmurs that this way, neither of them will get wet anymore. It's a weak excuse and both of them do it. The rain stops before anything else can happen. They say goodbye without making a fuss, as if nothing happened. But both of them leave changed. Nam leaves completely lost in thought. He opens his umbrella, walks down the street singing with the energy of someone who thinks they're in a music video and doesn't care about anything. He's so out of it that a street light explodes out of nowhere as he passes by. The transformer falls straight onto his head. When Monchi wakes up, he doesn't know where he is or who he is. There's a wound on his head and a massive fog inside him. The memories are gone and only mist remains. The nearby students step back when they see him. A huge dog without a collar wandering through the corridor. They whisper to each other in fear, thinking he's a giant stray. Monchi hears everything and doesn't understand. Why are they afraid? Why do they keep talking about him like that? Only when he passes in front of a mirror does the answer appear, and he stands staring at his reflection. He wants to shout that he's not a monster, but what comes out is a growl. The name Jungwoo comes up in a nearby conversation. It sounds familiar, very familiar, but he can't remember where he knows that name from. In a close group of friends, a popular girl confidently declares that Nanandini already belongs to her, that their eyes have met, that he won't be able to resist, and that it's only a matter of time. Her friend nods excitedly and they celebrate as if he were already her boyfriend. When the giant dog appears, the girl throws a can of soft drink at its head without thinking. Monchi growls. She steps back in fear. Her friends think about calling the police. Monchi does not remember Yumbo. He looks at the girl and thinks it's pathetic to fall in love with someone like that. His Nara is not like that. The name slips out without him realizing. Nara Lee Nara. He tries to remember, but nothing comes to his mind. Only a scent, faint lavender, too familiar to ignore. Without thinking, he follows the trail. The scent disappears without warning, replaced by something else. He stops. On the pavement, a stray dog is relieving itself right there. Munchi, horrified, almost followed that smell. The stray asks him where he's coming from. Munchi does not know who he is or why he's here. The other dog asks if he is lost or abandoned. Munchi replies no, that he is looking for someone. The stray nods. He says he waits for his owner at the door, that among all the footsteps he hears, his owners are different. He always knew how to recognize them. He loves them so much that he waits every day, even though the house is empty and no one returns. He waits at the door of an uninhabited place. Before leaving, the stray wishes Munchi luck so that he may find what he is looking for. He invites him to play, but the rain starts and with it comes panic. Nara's scent is going to disappear. Munchi runs, trying to hold on to the trail, but in seconds it vanishes. He stops in the street, not knowing what to do. He found a pink flower on the ground. It was her scent, the same place where he had been with Nara. Munchi sits down and lets the memory come. It was a good memory. They took shelter from the rain side by side. He wished it would never stop raining. Her scent was so strong that it made his heart race. He just wanted to get closer. He thinks about the stray dog, about how that dog waited for his owner every day. He decides to do the same. He lies down in front of the shop to wait for Nara. Num, in wolf form, knows he can wait. A woman passes by and recognizes the dog as Munchi. Meanwhile, Nara is taking a shower, singing and dancing as if on a stage, thinking about Nam, about her world. Her mother knocks on the door and tells her to make use of the time to wash the dog she brought home. Nara goes to see what she's talking about. She opens the door and finds Munchi there. Her mother explains that she found him drenched and brought him inside. Munchi went straight to the bathroom and caught her lavender scent. Nara, indignant, tells him to get out. She is younger and thinks it's ridiculous. After drying him off, she complains that he must be mad to come into the bathroom while she was there. She also tells her mother that Gyungu can come back on his own. Shona brought him. Annoyed, she tells him to go back into store. Munchi shakes himself off. In the end, they have fun. Her mother watches and comments that the animal seems to like Nara a lot. Hearing that, excitement washes over her and she thinks of Num. Her mother says that dogs show how they feel with their tails and Munchi still just won't stop wagging. Nara looks at the tail. It makes sense. Even pretending to be a dog, that reaction is involuntary. She wonders if this is Gyungu's way of flirting, if he really likes her. Munchi wags his tail with his tongue hanging out. He searched for her so much that finding her made him feel lighter. He jumps wanting to play. Nara tells him to stop pretending and turn back into a human. He licks her face, jumps on her, keeps licking her, and she gets confused. Not knowing what's going on, she kicks him and sends him flying. Then he puts his head inside his shirt. Nara freezes. Munchi keeps sniffing and licks her stomach. She is equally excited and uncomfortable and goes after him. Munchi doesn't understand why she suddenly became violent. Nara is furious. He did something daring in the way a dog would, not as a human, and that's different. He still doesn't understand what he did wrong until he lies on his back on the floor asking for forgiveness. Nara finds it funny. He looks adorable like that, lying on his back. But she starts to wonder if he's really Gyung-woo. He seems like a rare dog. He's been barking since early morning and hasn't said a single word. Then he rolls around in a way that embarrasses her and she looks away. But he still doesn't speak. There's no trace of the human. The thought starts to weigh on Ma. What if he had turned into a wolf forever with no trace of the human left? She takes him to the Beast family's temple. The younger sister had never seen Gyungu transform before. The mother looks at her son with a tense expression. He doesn't recognize anyone and she wants to know why. Handong suggests that he forced his power during the fight against the rat. The elder brother nods. The human side weakened and the wolf took over. Nara asks if he'll stay like this. Will he never become human again? The elder brother assures that there is a way to reverse it. Handong suggests rest. The mother thinks of garlic and mugwort. She smiles and compares the situation to Beauty and the Beast who becomes human again because of love. She says that love works miracles and looks at Nara with a clear implication. A kiss would fix everything. Nara believes she's the only one who can save Gyundu. She'll do whatever it takes. Endong glances at her sideways, thinking she has some very strange ideas. The younger sister doesn't want to hear anything about turning him back. He's too cute as a dog, much more fun than the human version. She wants a puppy of her own and insists that they leave him like this. Andong dismisses the idea immediately. The house will be full of hair and that's not gonna happen. Nara notices that the mother is truly worried about her son. The elder brother suggests a practical solution. Take him for a walk to the places they used to go together. Go along the route and try to trigger his memory. She goes out with Munshi on a leash. The dog is excited about the walk, following his instincts without understanding why he's so happy. Nara stops in front of the shop where the two of them were after the fight with the fox when they ate instant noodles together. Without realizing it, being with him had become natural. She thinks about how she almost died that day before being saved. Then a cat crosses their path. Munshi runs off. Nara can't hold on to the leash and falls to the ground, getting completely soaked. The dog realizes that she's angry and instinctively steps back. A woman approaches and asks if the dog's name is Gyeong-woo. Nara recognizes her immediately. She's the girl who was flirting with him earlier. Munchi watches the scene suspiciously as if he knows that woman is trouble. The conceited girl concludes that the dog wandering around the area belonged to Nara. She calls the animal disgusting and its owner filthy, saying they make the perfect pair. Nara replies that the dog is Munchi, that he is not disgusting and that he is not even hers. He belongs to Nam Gyeong-woo. The reaction changes. The conceited girl melts, strokes Munchi's fur and calls him cute. The dog doesn't like it at all. When she leans in and kisses him, the animal looks uncomfortable and coughs as if he's about to vomit. Nara remembers what her mother said about Beauty and the Beast. She wonders sarcastically if he would turn back into a human after being kissed by a girl like that. She can't help herself and, with a smile, asks if the other girl smokes because of her bad breath. The conceited girl lunges at her furiously. Munshi steps in front of Nara in an attack stance, baring his teeth. The girl steps back, convinced that he bites. Nara confirms it. To protect her, he bites. The words stir something inside Munshi. Memories he doesn't understand flood his mind. The promise to protect her, keep her safe, do anything for her, even if he became a monster. The conceited girl calls them unbearable and leaves. Nara crouches down and praises Munshi for his good work. He wags his tail, pleased with the compliment. They walk through the park at night, the air fresh after the rain, the gentle breeze, everything feels like a stroll they've already shared before. Nara's heart beats faster, even though she knows he doesn't remember anything. She tells him about the earlier rain, mentions that she had an umbrella in her bag. She knows she lied just to have that moment with him and doesn't regret it. As she sits on the park bench, she says out loud that she loves him. She can say it now because he doesn't understand her words. Looking at his human face, she never could. Whenever they are together, no matter what they do, the days feel special. That's why she wants him to become human again soon. Munshi listens and something in him responds. He rests his head on her shoulder. Nara gently asks if he feels anything. No miracle happens until someone makes it happen. The avalanche of memories begins to change something within him. An electric shock runs through Munshi's body with such force that it turns off the lamp above them. Darkness envelops everything and in it he loses his wolf form. Nam Kyung-woo returns to his human form in her arms. Like something out of a fairy tale, he returns and the first contact is an electric kiss on Nara's lips. Right after, he falls face first onto the wooden bench and falls asleep. Nara looks at him, both worried and relieved at the same time. The way to bring him back to his human form had worked. In his dream, he was standing in front of the old house from his childhood, overgrown with weeds, frozen in time. Youngu did not understand why he had come back, but it was the same place where he used to sit waiting for a father who never showed up. This time, his father was there. He welcomed him with a smile, put a hand on his shoulder, and told him that he knew he had suffered. Kyung-woo told him that he had wandered aimlessly, not even knowing who he was. His father said it was alright, getting lost was part of finding your way. Those who wander, he said, eventually create their own maps. Then he asked how school was going, if he had any friends. Kyung-woo spoke about the most amazing friendship, someone very different from him. With her, it did not matter how he looked, he felt like himself. His father smiled. He was glad that his son had found someone special, just like his mother was for him. He repeated the phrase Kyung-woo had known since he was a child, destiny does not change even if the stars fall. He said he would understand it when he found someone like his mother. Kyung-woo asked if it was love at first sight when he met her. His father shook his head. He only realized their worth when everything was over. In the beginning, he had felt lost. Destiny grows stronger with life until you know you were made for each other. Don't lose that moment, his father said, for anything. He asked him to wonder more, to get lost along the way. Only then would he forge his own path, his own adventure. Kyung-woo said goodbye and returned to the forest, then woke up. He was in his room staring at the ceiling, not knowing how he got there. The last thing he remembered was saying goodbye to Lee Hana. After that, nothing. His siblings came in, cheerful and relieved that he had finally woken up. Yuri, his sister, complained that he woke up as Kyung-woo and not as Munshi. His brother asked if he didn't remember turning into a wolf last night. Kyung-woo couldn't remember anything until the memories came flooding back. Everything, every embarrassing detail from last night flooded his mind. He hoped it was just a dream, but he had to confirm it. When Lee Nara asked him if he remembered, he said no. She told him that he found her in the bathroom, buried his face in her clothes and sniffed everything. She asked him to look her in the eyes and tell the truth, but he couldn't do it. He imagined the thrashing he would get if he admitted it. Luckily, Lee Nara was relieved that he didn't remember anything. Telling him about it embarrassed her. Kyung-woo apologized. She said that he was honest and it wasn't so bad. That was when the rich girl appeared. She came over cheerfully, saying that Munshi was adorable and asked if she could come to her house to see him. She insisted on going for a walk and showed the prizes for Munshi. Kyung-woo looked at the prizes and from experience said that Munshi didn't like them, nor did he like the taste. When she tried to touch his shoulder, Kyung-woo moved away and added that Munshi also didn't like the smell of cigarettes. The rich girl looked annoyed. He had already turned his back on her and was leaving with Lee Nara.